Just picking. All right, I've almost got you guys.
Yeah, so then I said to the nun, right, put the donkey down.
Hey, my audience, am I echoing?
Yes.
And can you guys
I'm
hear
echoing
everyone?
as well. Let me see if I can't fix that. Let me.
You're not echoing on my end, which is
Good.
And you're not echoing on my end.
Yeah, that's where the debate's going to be.
I want to
heard.
echo for Craig and Max and no one else. That way they're confused.
Right. Let's get this
That's
sorted
the
at the
plan.
beginning. My name is not Craig. Craig.
Craig.
Yes,
man.
there we go. It is not spelled Kreg.
No. Listen, man, I'm a redneck from Pittsburgh. I'm a Yinzer. Like, you're lucky that you could even understand the dialect here. You know, I'm trying my best.
Well, I speak yokel. It's fine.
Yep. Well, good luck. You'll need it. You know.
Are you guys good to go
Understanding
by
my
your
yokel
full
isms.
names on
To
screen?
my
here?
audience, is this better?
You
Oh
sound
shit,
good on
Greg,
that.
you're like really dressed up. I feel like, the fuck?
I didn't think it was real.
What's going on?
All dressed up and smoking.
I see you've got some guns on the back there because these are the only guns I need.
Oh my.
Yeah.
You should invest in hardware.
Why? That's for wimps.
Keep that
Said
hubris
no one
up.
ever.
You're gonna need it.
Well, I was gonna say I have a feeling you don't live in bear country, where you're at, do you, Craig?
I'm in Scotland.
Craig.
Craig.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's usually our concern up here. Is it's like it's nice to at least have an air bomb.
What's up, Max?
Like, just a big loud firecracker to scare off bears if you need to. That's living in the boonies. How's it going, Max?
I'm doing awesome.
Awesome.
I'm actually a competitive shooter, so I shoot a lot, actually.
There you go. That guy at the Olympics.
I don't need to practice.
is
I'm just
coming out
naturally
just-
skilled.
Yeah, it debate too.
Both, yeah.
It starts already.
Good. That's very good.
It's just,
Hey, Max, it's nice to meet you, sir.
It's quite
Hello.
ironic that I'm debating like right wingers and there's just guns there, you know.
That's who.
Yes.
We are, you know.
Yes. Also, yes.
Not a first for myself. We've had Destiny on a few times. There's a couple other people that have guns in the background. I think Hake might have had some weaponry at some point, but nonetheless, welcome to y'all. I'm going to get the stream started up in just 1 second here. I just want to check in with you, of course, to see who wants to go first in the exchange. I can flip a coin if you guys both have your own cross to bear tonight. So,
To
Who
be
would
clear,
like to lay
the
it
prompt
first?
is, you know, what's more violent politically, left or right in the USA. That's what James confirmed.
yes.
So
that is
yeah,
gonna
so
be the
we're
main
both.
focus.
There's no real affirmative. We're picking the left's more violence. You guys are picking the right. So I really don't care. Whatever you guys are cool with, we're cool with as a side. I assume grid, and I don't give a shit if I speak.
If you don't
first or
care,
second on
Robert,
my side.
then I'm going to call on you to go first.
Okay. You want me to go first, grid, on our side, or you?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Well, I
was-
asked which one, and you said that was an which one.
think it means you can go first.
I'll follow your lead. That's totally
You got
fine.
it. No problem. Okay.
All right. glad we got
What is
that
the
sorted out.
format? Is it just standard openers, back and forth, answer questions?
Basically, yeah, we're going to be doing standard format. You have up to 12 minutes per side, so 6 minutes per person. We're not going to do Passover time, so 6 minutes per speaker max.
Ooh, 6. Yeah, I can do that in 6.
Will you give us a sign when we're close to the end, just so I know to wrap it up?
Right
set a
when you get to
timer.
the 6 minute mark, I'm just going to jump in and be like, "Shut the no!"
You're out, buddy.
You're
Give it
done.
1 second over. You're gone. We're booting you from the panel. All
Yes.
right.
No, I'm just kidding. Of course. No, I usually let people know within like either a minute or 30 seconds away. It just depends on when I can jump in on the flow, because I don't want to jump in right when you're talking, and sometimes people can just keep compounding their sentences. So.
Someone there from Pittsburgh, apparently. Someone in my chat says, "Fuck you, I'm from Cleveland and they're better."
Oh, their river caught on fire one time. That's how shitty Cleveland is. Don't even get me started.
Superman came from Cleveland. Shut your fucking mouth.
Nah, he came from Krypton. Jeez. Anyways,
So
are
violent.
we doing
Real
closing statements as well? I didn't see what the format was for closing statements.
Closing statements. I just do a minute at the end of super chats. So
Gotcha.
sometimes, especially if the conversation gets kind of stagnated, if we hit a wall, then we will rely on our audience.
I'll keep it interesting. Don't worry.
We'll rely on the audience to help steer us a little bit, but generally, we'll have the opening statements. We'll go for about anywhere from 60 minutes, sometimes an hour and a half. and then the super chats we do want to get into, because if we're already getting into like an hour and a half of open discussion, then those super chats are going to take some time as well. I'll try to let you guys breathe if that's what you want to do.
I'm in no hurry, so however you guys do, it's fine by me. So
awesome. I was gonna say it's yeah, what is it, Monday night? Yeah, Tuesday. See, this is musician's life. We can't keep track of what day it is.
It's Wednesday. What the fuck are you on about?
Oh God, is it?
No, that's because he's in some bullshit area of the world no one cares about.
Yeah,
in the United
You
States,
mean the place
Tuesday.
where we have Greenwich Mean Time?
Right.
You know, the actual place where time is based from. Yes.
Are you
One
allowed to
second, I'll be
speak
one-
English
I just need to
now,
do
or are you
one
supposed
last
to be
mic
praising
check for
Allah
my-
or
for
something?
my guys.
Let's, you know,
Oh,
Everything
we're gonna
good
go
over there?
there, are we?
yeah. I'm sorry, what was that, Grid?
I was just saying I just needed to do one last mic check for my guys. So am I good?
Check. Hello, Grid's audience. How are
Well, they
you?
can hear you. They
See?
can't hear me for some reason.
Oh, you have to, for me on StreamYard, Grid, just so you know, I have to have my mic on my StreamYard in addition to then sharing the audio from the Zoom call.
Yeah, when I do that, I have echo.
Do none of you know what virtual cables are?
Yeah, I'm aware of it.
Yeah, none of us.
Why do you not
LinkedIn
use
for this
virtual
shit.
cables?
Well, here in
Because I
America,
don't
we
use
have things
LinkedIn
like
for this.
StreamYard instead
we
of
have
Zoom.
real
I don't know what's
software.
going on in
Well,
Scotland.
real software. I use vMix, which is what TVs use, but for routing audio through multiple places, you use virtual cables.
They give
that-
you one of those with your kilt when you get a
Virtual
kilt, they give you a
cables, my
virtual
friend.
cable.
You download virtual cables, and then you can route audio to multiple sources.
I
for
am
the same
aware.
thing.
I'm aware,
Yeah.
but the problem is, or not the problem. StreamYard basically does that on its own.
Yeah,
No,
I don't-
StreamYard
I
does
don't
not do
need to
that on its own.
Sure
StreamYard
it does.
is one
Guys,
audio
looks
file.
like you're having fun though.
Good
But
Lord.
I'm using my microphone through StreamYard and through Zoom simultaneously
I mean,
without a virtual
StreamYard
cable.
is what, is really awful software anyway. I don't know why you would use that.
Well, we'll see. How about this? Whoever wins this debate, their software is
This
better.
isn't
How
this
about
isn't a
that?
debate. The numbers don't lie. I've literally no idea how you're going to frame what the numbers
Keep
say
that
in
confidence
one
up,
way. It's
sir. There you
ridiculous.
go. Keep it up. It'll
All
be
right, I
It
don't know what
literally
to
doesn't.
say. Hold
It
on.
literally doesn't matter what you guys say because the numbers say that you're wrong. End of story.
All right, did you already get into it? You know better than that. All right,
That's the confidence we
Let's-
like. Let's do it.
That's what we need to see, actually.
I mean, I know you guys are just going to have rhetoric and nothing else. It really doesn't matter.
all right. Well, let's see how this
Oh, I
all
would
goes.
leave anyways.
Well, I know you're wrong, so there you go.
Let's all just try to
Wanna
have
place
some
a
fun.
bet?
Hold on. We'll place a bet when we get in there. No bets. Why do you always try to do
that's
this? Not while I'm streaming. All right. And also, I just got to check, Craig, on your side. Craig, would you like to go first, or would you like to go second? What's going on, Max? What do you want to
I'll
do?
go first on our side.
Excellent. All right. Glad we got that sorted
Yeah,
out.
that's right.
I was
You do
giving
the best
him some sonority just because he's been on here quite a bit. And he's usually
Max
like
is the
"Oh,
goat."
first. Max is the goat. Thanks for being here, Max. And
No
look
one
at
has
you
a
in the
shiny
live
bald
chat.
head like Max.
Yeah.
I'm close.
That's one way to put it. All right, I'm gonna get over to the main.
Hey guys,
screen.
seriously, it should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. So thanks for doing this.
All right, so
Maybe
we're gonna
fun
start
means
with
something
you.
else to you. I'm not sure.
I'm gonna put you on mute 1 second. I gotta start the show. Hold on there, Craig. All right, I'm just gonna place the two of you guys on mute. Actually, you're starting us off there, Robert, right? So I'll just place the three of you as on mute. Does anybody need to screen share? Just put your hands up. Okay, Max is doing screen share. Good. Okay, just wanted to. All right, we're gonna get over to the main
Rubiks.
screen and we're gonna get started up. Oh, this over here. Awesome. Well, let's flick on over. Ooh, I'm gonna have to adjust these screens. Looks like I have not done my due diligence. So we're just gonna move over like this and say, welcome to Modern Day Debate. I'm your host, Ryan. Tonight, we're gonna be having a debate on is the left more violent than the right? So if you get a little bit of a kick out of these debates, definitely hit the like button as I fill up. Grab yourself a drink. It's going to be a good one, guys. Yeah, let's head it on over to the for the arguments for the left is more violent. And to start us off, we have Robert Newer. Should have checked in on the pronunciation of your last name there first. But welcome to Modern Day Debates. Pleasure to have you here. And when you're ready, the floor is all yours.
It's nor like the conjunction, but thank you so much for moderating for us. Thank you so much, my opponents. Craig, and Max. And thank you to my incomparable partner, Grid. I really appreciate it. We will be on the side of the left is more violent. Now, unfortunately, the prompt is written as such that we have been told that this is unique to the United States, so we'll stay there. And the way the prompt's lifting, is the left more violent than the right? The answer is objectively yes. If we look at the pattern, even though stats aren't kept as such, if we look at the people that are most likely to be left-wing or vote for the Democratic Party, overwhelmingly there is more violence, such as violent crime that comes from that side of the ledger. So, for example, we can see that African Americans overwhelmingly vote for the Democratic Party and embrace the side of the left. And overwhelmingly, they commit more violent crime than people of other backgrounds. We could also see that the very poor tend to commit more crime. Those would be left as well that tend to vote Democrat. However, I'll do our opponents one good and say, we're talking about political violence, baby, not just violence in general. And so the question will be, who commits more violence in the name of culture or politics? And I think that that's easily going to be the left. Now, the truth is, all of us know it. The moderator knows it. My partner knows it. Our opponents know it. And everyone in the audience knows it. We know that when it comes to political violence, that the left uses violence and intimidation in order to achieve political and cultural ends far more than the right does. Now, the truth is, any politician, any political ideology is going to have fringe lunatics. And certainly the left has their share of that. But I would be lying if I said the right doesn't, the center doesn't, milquetoast politicians don't. Of course, they all do. The problem is that it's become ubiquitous on the left. Now, what our opponents are going to do is read a bunch of studies. They're going to be sourced from two things. One's going to be the CSIS report, the CSIS. The other, I forget the name of the report that it comes from, but these studies are horseshit, as we'll get into and be able to look at the way that they keep these metrics. They're done in a biased way, and they're kept from biased statistics. The problem with these studies are going to be, one, the people that are doing it are coming from academia. One of the ones, I forget which one it is, I think it's the CSIS, is someone who calls himself an Antifa historian, who's actually someone who just works with Antifa groups. And you'll be able to see as we go through it that there are glaring omissions from obvious left-wing violence that we all know that isn't kept there. There's also things that are put in there included in right-wing violence that are absolute garbage. And as soon as you start to interrogate and look at the numbers, you see that they're BS. However, even if these people weren't biased that are keeping the statistics or interpreting them in these studies, the truth is that law enforcement itself is biased. So, for example, if we see something like the Black Lives Matter riots that had almost no one arrested in them, the only way that they're able to keep these studies is to evaluate the people that were arrested for these crimes. So despite the fact that we can see left-wing violence causing billions upon billions of dollars of damage, dozens upon dozens of people that were killed during these left-wing violence, due to the fact that almost no one was arrested, it's not going to show up even if we just looked at law enforcement numbers, let alone the people that are compiling these studies choose to not include many of those examples when they're evaluating left versus right-wing violence. However, even if we take CSIS, the problem is these very studies are now saying in the current year, which is what we should be looking at, actually, left-wing violence is outpacing right-wing violence, as an article from The Atlantic citing CSIS actually proves. So when we're talking about recent, as in like the last 10 years, since the advent of Donald Trump being the leader of the Republican Party, it is undoubtable that the left has committed violence. I'll give three ways as why that's important. When we're talking about political violence, what we're talking about is it's uniquely bad because it's using violence and intimidation to try to change the direction of our country through culture and politics. That's what makes it uniquely heinous and something worth evaluating more than, say, a simple mugging that goes wrong. And we can see the left oftentimes resorts to these sorts of violent actions. The first thing that I'll say is the amount of violence that occurs. They'll be able to know in two political riots that were left-wing or right-wing. They'll say Charlottesville and January 6th. And you want to know how they know those two? Because that's basically it. It just doesn't happen. Sure, there's fringe right-wingers that commit murders. There's fringe left-wingers that commit murders as well, which we can get into. But when it comes to political violence in general, I could name hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of just the last 8 years left-wing political violence. Portland, night after night. Seattle, night after night. Atlanta, night after night. D.C., night after night. New York. All of these places, Kenosha, we see these violence. We see them for Black Lives Matter. We see the Chaz Zone. We see them riding against ICE over and over and over. Every time they don't get their way, they engage in acts of violence. The second thing that we'll talk about is the acceptance, ignoring, or otherwise celebration of the violence. When right-wing violence occurs, almost every politician and media professional that tends to lean right almost universally condemns it, with very few exceptions. However, the left wing, we're told, even as fires rage in the background, it's mostly peaceful. When When we see left-wing violence occur, like the assassination of Charlie Kirk, what do we see? Tens of thousands of left-wingers take to the internet in order to celebrate it. We know that this is the case. We know that when places are boarding up their businesses on election night, they're not worried that Trump supporters are going to loot and riot. They're worried, just like in 2016, that it will be the left once more that does it. We see these things all the time, and the media gaslights us, and the Democratic politicians gaslight us, and they tell us that it's mostly peaceful, or they tell us that it's the language of the unheard, or they tell us that it's somehow justified in this way or that. We see the people that take to celebrate it. We see the fact that people will go out and not only say that someone like Charlie Kirk deserved it and make fun of him, but even mainstream outlets like the New York Times make excuses for why Charlie Kirk had it coming. The day after the Charlie Kirk assassination, the New York Times put an article out saying that Charlie Kirk said fascist things on his podcast. They were forced the day after to issue a retraction. Yes, he did say those things. However, he was quoting someone else and then arguing against it. This was in a world where one of the bullets had written on it that was aimed at Charlie Kirk, "Catch this, fascist." We see repeatedly as these attacks occur that the Democrats keep up the same dehumanizing rhetoric that they themselves have used to gaslight their brown shirts that they knew would take it seriously. I'll be able to talk about incident after incident of left-wing violence. Maybe I'll get to at the end of my speech. The third thing, though, is even though it is far more common for these acts of left-wing violence to occur, we see that it's treated the exact opposite when it comes to law enforcement. Law enforcement looks for white supremacist boogeymen under every single blanket. They have the largest FBI task force in history that's going after blue-haired grandmas that didn't commit violence on January 6th. They're constantly drumming up things like the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping case because they need more boogeymen that they could go after. Meanwhile, they gaslight us that Antifa is just an idea and that there's nothing they'll be able to do about it. When we see dozens upon dozens of attacks on Tesla dealerships, on pro-life centers, etc., would Chris Wray say on those pro-life centers, most of these attacks happen in the evening, and so we're unable to find it. So despite the fact that the violence is overwhelmingly occurring more on the left, that it's celebrated, ignored, or cheered for by people in positions of power and in the average Democratic Party more on the left. And by the way, the studies back this up. It talks about how left-wingers are more likely to embrace violence. In fact, at one point, 58% of Democrats polled said that they thought that the murder of Donald Trump was somewhat justified. So all of these show that the violence on the left is far more common. We all know it, and I'll be happy to get into specific instances. I come up with like 20 off the top of my head in the past few years.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Robert. We're going to hand it over to Don for his opening statement as well. We do want to welcome everybody in our live chat to Modern Day Debate. If you're wondering what this is all about, that's right, I brought the boot, everybody. I got other bad jokes. We are debating, is the left more violent than the right? And to start out, we have the speakers from the right side presenting their cases. So if you haven't already, hit that like button, boost us up in the algorithm. We're live right now. And I'm going to put a poll up after Don's opening statement. So Don, when you're ready, the floor is yours. You are on mute there, Don.
Is my opening statement that good? He doesn't have to talk.
Yeah, sorry, I thought that you were going to unmute me. All right, so
I only have so many
it's hard to follow Rob, man. He hit basically all of the really good talking points there and basically laid out everything for you. I just want to say that I honestly don't understand why anyone would take this prompt, because for years we've watched cities burn, police cars overturned, storefronts smashed, only to be told by network anchors and people like our opponents here, while standing in front of the flames, that it's all mostly peaceful. Mostly peaceful. The truth is simple. Violence from the left isn't just tolerated, it's franchised out to organizations like BLM and Antifa, and there's a myriad of others. And there's that usually masked, they don't want to know people to know who they are. And, they wave a stupid flag around, stamped equity, and then clash with literally everyone where there's no equity at all. And politicians just sit there and wink and nod while the country and buildings, hard-earned incomes go up in flames and smolder in ruins. And this is wrong, obviously. Conservatives just don't riot when elections go wrong. We've seen that. Again, as Rob said, all they're going to be able to point to is Jan 6, which we'll get into when that comes, and then Maybe Charlottesville. Although that's going to be a tough one to go with there. But the left's riots when Starbucks runs out of milk. It's just crazy to even say that the left is not the party of violence. And so we should stop pretending that there's a moral equivalency even exists between protest and mayhem. One side believes the rule of law, the other thinks arson is free speech. And moreover, just very simply, the left is supposedly the party of emotion and feelings, and violence, by definition, is based in feelings. And so the right, the party of logic and reason, obviously, that's not us. That's not what we do. That's what you guys do. And you do it well. I will give you credit. I will give the left credit. They are very good at being violent and not taking responsibility for that violence. And that's all I really need to say, because Rob basically did my entire opening as well. So that's great. And you guys have a tough act to follow. Hopefully you brought your bag.
All right, you guys got it. So thank you so much to
Nothing,
Don and Robert for your introductory statement. We're going to hand it over to the other side. I want to remind our audience as well, if you like what you're hearing from any of our speakers on the panel tonight, we do have all of them linked in our description. So if you want to check out more of them and see more of what they have to say, check that out. Also remind you guys that we are going to do a Q&A at the end. So we already got a couple, or at least one or two super chats coming in already. So if you want to put in a super chat, those will be read with priority. And yeah, without further ado, we're going to hand it over to MXXD Max. So one of our beloved moderators here at Modern Day Debate, but I'm not going to give you any favoritism there, Max. Not on the panel. I will mute you. No, you are on mute. Anyways, but yeah, thank you.
There we go.
And,
Do you get my share?
Yes, we have you there.
All right. Is the left more violent than the right? The problem here is that we're going to have to define what the left is, the different types of violence. I'm going to touch on this idea that the US media has of the radical left, and I was going to do some predictions, but wait 1 second, so we're going to disregard that. So what is the left? As an actual leftist, I have voted the Communist Party in Uruguay since I am of legal age to vote. You don't have the left in the US. Sorry to tell you. But what you call the left, they are way to the right of me. So there's a problem there. I have to do a big concession to basically participate in this debate because Biden and Harris, they're not the left, right? So I think it was important to define that. And then we're going to touch on some different types of violence. A lot of that was conflated today. For example, petty crime, saying that it's made by poor people, and therefore that counts towards the left being. That is just wow. But we have direct violence as riots, revolts, coups, legislative violence, gerrymandering, political persecution, and other types of legislative pressure on political opponents, and then few forms of political violence like free speech, persecution, nepotism, finger appointments, etc., etc. Right now, we're seeing all of that from the right in the U.S. So it might not be the most egregious, but it's something that trickles down, because if you start eroding the democratic values of a country, then everything goes down really, really fast. And this idea, the president, Trump, talks all day about the radical left. And the radical left right now is marching and protesting in inflatable costumes, while the radical left, the actual radical left in 1969, they were taking a city in Uruguay, in Pando. They basically took over the whole city. So the terms are clearly very ill-defined, and we can talk about incidents in particular, but we could spend all night just trading one incident for another. I think it's a more productive conversation to talk about the systematic issues. Want to talk about violence in order to stop the spreading of communism. The U.S. sponsored through what was called the Condor Plan. In the countries of Chile, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, and Brazil, counterterrorism and subversion. They were basically facilitating black flights to make people they didn't like disappear. So I don't know if you can provide any example of the left doing something as egregious as this, but I would certainly like to try. Well, these were my predictions. So what you call the left is not really the left. I thought it's just important to mention that Biden and Harris are no less capitalist than Trump. And unfortunately, in today's world, communist China is no less capitalist than the US. What you call the left typically stand for human rights, democracy, and accountability. A lot of that is being eroded by the right now, today, in the US. And finally, I think it's worth mentioning the bold-faced pardoning of criminals. There's been a recent barrage of people serving crimes just because they were billionaires before or they did financial crimes. It's all bullshit. So, I mean, right now we see it. We see the political violence that the right exercises on full display when Trump tries to get comedians off the air because they don't like their jokes about him and all that kind of stuff. So pretty sure we can get into more of that. Hashtag Max to the Bacon 7. Let's freaking go. And we are doing an after show on Sherwa Mate Talks after the debate. The one, the only, the true after show is this one. So I yield the rest of my time.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Max, for your introductory statement. We're going to go back to our main screen. Thanks for ending the screen share there. And we're going to hand it over to Craig. We're going to be picking for a little now. We had a little insight because I say Craig all the time. So set the record straight there, Captain Fight the Flat Earth, and then we're going to get started up here.
So what do you want to do? Am I going?
Yeah, for sure. I just
Okay,
felt like
cool.
set me right, Mr. Craig.
It's God to you.
You got a new one. All right, Go ahead. 6 minutes on the floor. Thanks everybody for your introductory statements. You're the last one to go, and then we're going to go into open discussion.
Okay, cards on the table. I've got no horse in this race. I'm not American. I don't vote there, and I don't really care who's red or blue. I'm looking at this from the outside, where you can actually see the full picture, and honestly, that's probably the most unbiased perspective that you can get. When we talk about political violence, I'm not talking about people arguing on Twitter or waving signs. I mean actual violence, shootings, bombings, assaults, people being hurt or killed for political or ideological reasons. Both sides do it. Let's make that clear straight away. There's no monopoly on lunacy. Left-wing and right-wing extremists in the USA have both used violence to push their politics. When you look at the data, there's a pattern, and it's not very subtle. The Center for Strategic and International Studies has tracked every extremist attack and plot in America for decades. Their 2025 data shows something interesting, and interesting enough, it lines up with the ADL, the FBI, and the Department of Homeland Security. So if they were wrong, they'd be different numbers around, but there isn't. But it does show something interesting. For the first time ever in about 30 years, there were slightly more left-wing incidents than right-wing ones. Shocking, right? Until you look at who's actually killing people. In the past decade, left-wing extremists killed 13 people. Right-wing extremists killed 112. That's almost 10 times more deadly, and that's straight from the CSIS. Now, the Anti-Defamation League Center on Extremism publishes an annual murder and extremism report. Their 2024 numbers show the same thing. In 2023, every single extremist murder in America came from the right, mostly white supremacist and anti-government types. When you zoom out over 10 years, around 76% of all extremist murders were committed by right-wing extremists, 18 by domestic Islamic terrorists, and 4% by the left. So yeah, the far left does commit violence, but the far right have been doing it more often and with far more lethality. This isn't coming from liberal media. These are US government's own security agencies. The Department of Homeland Security said in a 2024 Homeland Threat Assessment that the most persistent and lethal terrorism threat to the homeland continues to be posed by domestic violent extremists, particularly those motivated by racial or ethnic hatred. Translation: the violent far right, especially white supremacist and anti-government groups, are America's biggest internal terrorism threat. Even FBI Director Christopher Wray told Congress the same thing. The top domestic terrorism threat we face comes from racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists, primarily those advocating for superiority of the white race. That's the FBI director, not a pundit. And if you look at the deadliest events, the El Paso shooting, the Charleston church massacre, the Pittsburgh synagogue attack, the Buffalo supermarket, all right-wing extremist violence. Left-wing violence, on the other hand, tends to hit property, arson, vandalism, attacks on government offices. Still illegal, still unacceptable, but not the same as mass murder. Let's talk protests. The ACLED US Crisis Monitor analysed tens of thousands of political demonstrations since 2020. They found that over 90% were peaceful across the board, but, and this is a big but, when protests do turn violent, right-wing groups are far more likely to show up armed, organised and spoiling for a fight. That is not me editorialising, that is what the data says, and let's be honest, rhetoric feeds this stuff. When politicians start calling their opponents the enemy, when people are told elections were stolen or that the FBI is out to get them, some unhinged people are going to take that literally. Trump's been a masterclass in that. You can't tell millions of angry people the country's being stolen, then act surprised when a few show up to defend it with guns and zip ties. Here's the reality. Both sides commit political violence. Fact. None of it is justified. Fact. But by any objective measure, body count, organisation, government classification, the violent far right is the bigger threat to America right now. And it's not about opinion, it's about evidence. CSIS, the ADL, the FBI, DHS, all say the same thing. The deadliest, most persistent domestic terrorism threat isn't coming from environmental activists or Antifa. It's coming from extremist movements on the right, racially motivated, anti-government, conspiracy-driven groups that see violence as patriotism. And from the outside, looking in, it's honestly quite sad to watch. America spends trillions protecting itself from foreign enemies, but statistically, the biggest threat to American lives is coming from inside its own country. Political violence doesn't protect freedom, it undermines it. It doesn't make America stronger, it tears it apart from the inside. And the truth is, the numbers do not care who you vote for. They do not care about party lines, or which network you watch, or what slogans on your hat. They just show where the bullets come from, and who they fucking hit.
All right. Hard stop there. It looks like you capped right around 4 minutes, so that's great. We're going to get right into the open discussion, everybody. Just after I do a little bit of housekeeping, and remind everybody that DebateCon 6 is coming up. It is in Nashville, Tennessee. We have our tickets available in the live description. It's November 15th and 16th. That's a Saturday and Sunday. So, and there's no reason you can't come on out and enjoy the weekend with us. Book some vacation time. The 2-day tickets, we have them starting at $239.99. That's with a discount with the current early registration. So definitely check out.
Throw tomatoes at me. I'll be there.
Yes, go throw tomatoes at Craig for me, please. All right, I'm still touring all over my local area, which has been fun. Just work, when you're a parent, you never get a break. Anyway, enough about that. Big thanks to all of our panelists. I'm going to hand it back over to the other side. Or Robert, I'll let you start us out with some response there where you started. And also feel free to jump in, Don Walker, and so to the rest of our panel. Let's do the open discussion.
I'll focus on Craig's arguments at this point, since him and Max have diametrically opposed arguments. Can you tell me, the ADL or CISs, how many violent actions of the left did they have in 2020?
I don't have the exact numbers. I just have the overall statistics that show that there is more on the right than the left. If you look at the last decade or the last 30 years, CSIS, ADL, ACLED, Department of Homeland Security, and the FBI all agree that the far-right extremists have been more violent than the left. Not only more violent, but more lethal.
I'm impugning their judgment. So the question I have for you then, you don't have that data in front of you, fine.
Yeah,
can you think of any violent actions that occurred on the left in 2020?
Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm not going to do specifics. I talk about overall things, and you keep saying that you don't trust them. So you telling me you don't trust your own Department of Homeland Security, you don't trust your own FBI, you don't trust the ACLED, you don't trust the Anti-Defamation League Center on Extremism, and you don't trust the CSIS. That is very convenient that you do not trust all of your own governmental and societal agencies that record the things that you don't like. That's very convenient, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ignore all of your us.
Okay, you could say that. Me and everyone watching, including you, your partner, the moderator, everyone on my channel, everyone on all of our channels, saw example after example of Black Lives Matter rioting. Over 200 locations, hundreds of examples of Black Lives Matter rioting. I think that it would be worth looking at the organizations you're talking about to see how they classified those acts of violence. If they did not classify those as left-wing examples of violence, then we should not believe any of these statistics, because it's clear that they're biased in the way that they're categorizing these things.
Well, so actually, the ACLED...
Please.
Well,
I've let you finish.
Wrong, though.
Let's let Robert wrap this up.
Jump in. Well.
So I would like you, since you have those studies in front of you, let's start with CIS's. Why don't you look and tell me how many examples they had of left-wing violence in 2020? Should be simple.
Again, I've talked about a decade, not just 1 year. But however, Black Lives Matters are classed as left-wing, and the ACLED, Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, and Princeton University's Bridging Divides initiative tracked them all, and their findings found that 93% of all Black Lives Matters related protests were peaceful, about 7% involved property damage, looting, or clashes with police. Violence was localized, a small number of cities accounted for most incidents, and a significant portion of those violent episodes involved outside agitators, opportunistic looters, or counter-protesters, not actual BLM organizers or activists. And even if we take your thing as, well, there's lots of Black Lives Matters as factual, the problem, yeah, true, still, overall, over the last 30 years, there has been more violence on the right than the left, even if we include Black Lives Matters.
That's not true, because the very data that you're bringing that from is downplaying how much this was. So if we take the ACEDL or whatever it was that you said there, you're right. It does say that ACLED, if we take those statistics, you're correct. It does say that 93% of the Black Lives Matter protests were peaceful. The problem is there were over 7,500 Black Lives Matter demonstrations. This means that there were over 200 and something locations that same study says, locations, not incidents, of violence that occurred during BLM riots or BLM protests. Over 200. That's more than 4 per state on average. Now, you can't name me 5. Please, let me finish. I'm not factually wrong. Can you name me 5 right-wing political riots in the past 10 years?
Again, we're not doing specifics. We're talking about overall things.
Because you don't have any specifics.
I have overall data from multiple sources. I have overall data that comes from multiple sources.
We're repeating ourselves there, fellas. Hold on.
Can I please finish what I'm saying? I do not appreciate being interrupted by anybody. I'm in the middle of a sentence. I would like to finish. Thank you.
Well, you guys are kind of repeating yourselves at this point, and we haven't heard from either of other panelists. So I had like one thing left to say. If please, I really do not want to just be cut off like I was last time. I do not find that very nice to be done. I have one more thing to say, and that's it on this. And the fact is, what he is doing is simply ignoring all of the data without giving any data back from any studies or any organizations. Every single organization, every governmental organization, all say the same thing, that the right has more. And all he's doing is going, I don't trust the data. He's being a flat earther. That's all I was going to say. I'm done. Please stop cutting me off, everybody.
Well, I think
hold on. There's been a lot of cutting off.
You want to say that, but the reality
is... You're really quiet, Don. You're like so quiet. And I'm just saying you're quiet.
You literally just...
Hold on.
Don, I'm saying you're quiet.
And now you're interrupting.
Don, I cannot hear you. You're quiet.
I can't hear you nearly as loud as everybody else.
I'm sorry. Did I... Hold on.
Your mic's just not loud enough. He's not meaning to be rude. He's just... Yeah,
Don, I was literally trying to help you by saying nobody can hear you. Don't be so antagonistic,
I appreciate that. Is that better?
It's a little bit. You could lean into it.
You're going to have to shout loud.
Well,
don't call him a douche. Come on.
I'll fix that. Don't worry.
Yeah, he can get his preamp set up there. I want to end this poll
he was being a douche, so I will.
Hold on there, Craig. You are asking to be muted again. I swear. You like to poke.
That's okay.
He
You
always
sound
tries
better.
to see how far he can push me. All right, so I want to end this poll right quick just because people don't seem to be enjoying it so much, but it does give us a little insight as to where our audience is sitting right now. And I'm just going to open up another one just to inquire about the question that you see on the screen. So I said for the first poll, where do you see yourself on the political scale? 55% of our audience have said that they identify as the right, 21% as center right, 13% as center left, and then 11 as pure left. So we have what? Oh, it just changed. So we got 75% to 25 on the right versus left. So yeah, let's hand it over to Don and Max to kind of jump in on this one, and I'm going to end that poll for you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think the problem is with the way the data is compiled, right? I mean, I don't think I think that's when Rob says he doesn't trust the data. What he's trying to say is that data is only as good as this as who is compiling it, right? That's why data should always be questioned. You can't we can't just we just can't take. I don't care who, the FBI, I don't care. I mean, nobody takes their data at face value. You have to understand how it's compiled. And I think what Rob is really getting at, and he'll dive into in just a moment, but when all of that data that you pointed to, that takes into account people who are not actual right wing, like Muslim extremists, gang violence, all of these other things that have nothing to do with the political right at all, or for that matter, right wing at all. They're just thrown in there because where else are you going to put them? So there's no reason to trust that data if it's not compiled properly. Now, you hang your hat on data and you don't give us any mix of it. All you just say is, well, this is the data and that's what it is, and I trust it, and that's the end of it. So I would say that you're being the flat earther, sir.
What did you mean?
I believe that you're
didn't mix
hanging
it?
your
What do you
hat
mean by
on
that?
data that's compiled without questioning with how it is in fact gathered and represented. And I think that I think that's really bad science. I think it's really horrible.
Okay, if I
actually.
could just quickly respond to that then. The fact is, no, it would be classed as good science because I'm going to multiple sources that all confirm the same thing. And their methods are public, their methods are available. Everyone can look at their methods. They're very centrist, at least the CSIS. But you're also saying that you don't trust the FBI, you don't trust the Department of Homeland Security, which are agreeing with all of these things. Every single...
Again,
wait.
I said
Hold
I
on, we
did
gotta be
no
able to have
because
it
you're
back and forth.
mischaracterizing what I said.
Yeah, okay,
Craig.
I'm just going to leave if I can't get a chance to talk.
You've interrupted other people as well, Craig.
I
so-
literally haven't. I am only interrupting when I'm being interrupted or when I need clarification of a point.
Well, allow for a clarification of a point, as Don has just asked.
We didn't.
Fair
You just
then.
interrupted me while I was talking.
He said you're mischaracterizing.
No, okay, I'm done
That's
with this
exactly
argument.
why-
No, I wasn't mischaracterizing. I was in the middle of a sentence. Please, I am asking to not be interrupted when I'm in the middle of a sentence, and I will not do the same. Okay?
All right, but the second you interrupt, I'm putting you on mute, and I don't want to hear boo.
If I get muted, I'm just going to go. It's as simple as that,
don't-
all right?
don't
no,
jump on
don't
me
do it,
now.
Ryan, because last time it was absolutely fucking outrageous.
All right, well, all right, just give me a superpower. I'll put you on mute as soon as I'm done.
You won't need to mute me if everyone can actually act like adults, and that means being able to have a conversation and not cutting someone off in the middle of a sentence. Okay?
You've given me a superpower. I can get rid of you when I need to now. I just put you on mute. All right, let's let Don finish his what he was saying. And I
was in the middle of talking. Okay, right, forget it. Never mind about the point I was trying to make or the conversation that I was trying to make. It's fine. Let's just move on to Max. That's fine. Max hasn't said anything, so I think he should get a chance to talk. I'm obviously not allowed to finish my point, so that I don't mind. That's fine. I'm not allowed to finish my point.
No, somebody's trying to clarify their point, and I'm going to put you on mute if you just keep that up. Honestly,
No, I'm cool.
Don,
Just go on to. I'm
if
done
you
with the
need to
conversation. and
let's
just
let
move to Max.
Don
Fuck's sakes.
clarify. You're driving me off
So,
nuts, man.
I mean, I know that you try to turn it back on us and tell Greg that he's being the flat earther, but I'm sorry to inform you that the only way that you debunk data is with more data. You don't get to hand wave dismiss the data because you don't like it by appealing to a method that you have no idea how it's made or the techniques that they used. It's unless you can provide an actual counter study of your refutation of the methodology or whatever, I honestly don't care what your opinion on the data is, right?
Okay, I could address this. First, I addressed this in my opening statement. One, if we have a biased FBI that's instituted a biased way in which they're going after things, that the only way they could compile data is through arrest. So when all of us could watch on our television incident after incident of left-wing violence, whether it be something like the Chaz Zone, whether it be the assassination of Charlie Kirk, whether it be the shooting of Steve Scalise, whether it be Michael Reinhold shooting a Patriot Prayer member in Portland after they had a lawful protest, whether it be the attacks that we see on ICE occurring over and over again, or the litany of BLM riots, what we see is the data that you're pointing to does not show up as acts of left-wing violence. The best I could find is in 2020, CISIS claims that there was, up to August of 2020, 10 instances of left-wing violence. I could point to 10 instances of left-wing violence at any one of the riots in places that we saw, such as in Portland or in Seattle. There were litany of examples of left-wing violence that occurred in those places. These same studies will use things like prison violence from white supremacist groups, each individual prisoner, if they get arrested, as an example of right-wing violence. My argument is that the appeal to authority fallacy that you're instituting is one that all of us know isn't true. And so instead of just saying, I read this summary of the data says what it is, and when I say, okay, let's look at incidents that we could agree that there was violence and see if your data, the way it's compiled, takes those into account. Instead of just saying, I refuse to get into specifics, you might as well be saying, I can't defend this data, and all of you should ignore your lying eyes that saw this left-wing violence occur over and over, and instead believe me because I read a summary of data that I don't understand.
Okay, first off, you don't know what fallacies are. An appeal to authority fallacy is not going to the actual people that do the data. If I was to say, the king says that this is true, therefore that's an appeal to authority, not going to the people that actually gather the data and compile it. That is not an appeal to authority. So very flat earther of you there. Secondly, you're literally distrusting every single source of data, not just one, not just two, not just three, but all of them, including your own Department of Homeland Security and FBI. Your only response is, I don't believe what the data says. I don't trust what the data says. I think the data's wrong. Well, what you need to do is present counter data rather than just, I saw it on TV, which is literally what your argument just was. I saw it on TV, so therefore there was more of it. Well, maybe there was more reporting on TV of certain things. Is it possible that what you were seeing on TV was skewed? Have you looked into that? No. What you are doing is just ignoring every single bit of data presented to you because it doesn't align with your personal views without ever providing anything counter than your feelings. And I saw it on TV. Present some data, present some statistics, give me something to actually get into. If you want to talk about specifics, I will. I'm not saying that I haven't read the studies or I don't know the specifics, but I'm not here to talk about individual specific things. I'm looking at the overall data, and the data objectively shows from every single source that over the last 30 years, the right has been more violent than the left in the United States of America. These are just facts. If you don't like it, that's because it hurts your feelings, and that's a you problem.
All of the harms mean nothing, right? And let me say this. You've already provided the data. For example, you read data that said that 93% of Black Lives Matter protests were peaceful, correct?
Yes, and that left a couple. Not simple yes or no.
Craig. All right, well, let's let Robin. Sorry, Robin, and let's let Don in here as well. Sorry,
I referenced this in my opening statement, which shows that there were more than 200 locations of violence. Now, if there were over 7,500 Black Lives Matter protests and 7% of them engaged in acts of violence, that would show that there were hundreds upon hundreds of acts of violence from the left. The data shows that. Now, when I ask you,
before you continue,
please let me.
No, wait, I need to respond to that before you carry on, please.
Last sentence.
I was going to say, we have other thoughts around the panel. We have Dawn as well.
Do you mind terribly?
If I could just respond to that one thing.
Do you mind terribly, Craig?
Let's let Dawn in here as well, just real quick, and we'll let both Max and Craig respond if we can.
I understand, but there is a point there. There is a point that's just
to you. Now, will you listen to me and not interrupt, sir?
I'm not interrupting. Sorry, I would like to just respond to that point.
You're still interrupting me, sir.
I didn't even finish my point, so.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say,
sorry.
To be fair, there's a lot of people trying to jump in on the can.
I'll finish.
I didn't interrupt. I thought I was just trying to respond.
Shut the fuck up, Craig.
Sorry, say that again.
I said, shut up.
No. What did you say? Say it again.
Shut the fuck up, Craig.
Sorry. Say it once more.
Why? You heard me.
No, I didn't hear you. Say it once more, please.
You're
No, you heard me.
escalating for the
No, I didn't. What
You're
did you say?
being dumb
I'm sorry. I
What's
don't
going
hear
on,
you.
Max
This
and
is a
Robert?
joke.
This
guy's
is
a
something
joke.
else.
This is
What's
a fucking
going on?
joke. I'm going to
I
finish
don't
my
know what
point. And if
Craig's
that's the
problem
last
is. The
point, I
problem
give
is that all he's got are some numbers that are made up, that we know are made up, that he knows are made up, that he can't quantify. We're questioning, why are those numbers, Craig? Are those numbers murders? Are those numbers made up? Are those numbers assaults? What are they, Craig? And Craig can't say anything. Well, just believe the FBI, which we know he can't do. That's all Craig can say. I don't care about your statistics. Prove it. Prove your statistics are correct, sir. Prove it. Tell me how many incidents of violence are there that matter? How many are gang attacks? How many are actual right-wing people? You can't prove that, Craig, and that's why you keep being a fussy little person here about this.
Have you finished your?
I've let you talk, and I have sat here. I was very quiet. You purposefully corrected me, and I listened to you, and I let you talk and ramble on, and you just literally threatened the moderator to leave, which is the ultimate bad faith, by the way. Honestly, I'm surprised you're still in this.
It does throw a fellow off their game a little bit, but we don't really have a whole lot that we can sink our teeth into there. So I do want to go back to Robert's point. Honestly, I'll
just finish the point real quick.
This is a little bit all over the place. Go ahead.
One sentence that I got to interrupt. The census data he suggested, even though his own data suggests hundreds upon hundreds of examples of left-wing violence from Black Lives Matter in 2020, shows 10 examples of left-wing violence and only 50 examples of right-wing violence, thus showing that the actual data that he's shown shows that there's more left-wing violence than his own census data says for right-wing violence, and shows that they're inaccurate in their portrayal of left-wing violence.
Okay, first off, Robert, I do apologize for interrupting you at the end of last time. I thought you had finished and I was trying to respond, but then for some reason Don had a hissy fit. So I'm sorry about that, and I'm sorry about Don. Sorry, it got interrupted by Don going off on a tangent. I kind of forgot most of your point. Could you just very quickly, 10 seconds, give me your point again, just so I can respond properly without Don having a hissy fit?
If your data suggests that there were over 200 examples of left-wing violence in BLM, and the census data only registers 10 of those as left-wing violence, and only says there were 50 examples of right-wing violence in 2020, it shows your data is wrong, and actually the objective data shows there was more left-wing violence.
Right, thank you. Okay, so what you're doing is you're trying to separate bigger incidents into smaller incidents by saying there is this many. You're actually misclassifying. You're saying, well, this one riot here was actually multiple riots, but that's not the way that it was classified in the data or by anybody reporting it. You can break it up into individual gangs or individual people or whatever, but the way that the data was reported as was in larger groups. So when you're saying that means it's over 200, it's not. It wasn't that many, because you're breaking the larger things into smaller little things, saying, well, this isn't just one thing, this is multiple things. And that's where the misinterpretation of the data comes from your side. But you're missing the point, and you're not responding to the point of, you have no data to respond to my data. I can go into specifics if I want, and I will if you would like me to. I'm glad to, but the fact is that it does, all the data shows, when you look at it from the past 10 years, from an outside view, from any source that you can get your hands on, not just the ones that I've mentioned, the data all shows that there's more violence on the right. Don was asking me to prove the data is true. No, you need to disprove the data. That's not how it works, Don. So anyway, Rob, again, I do apologize for interrupting you. I did think that you'd finished. Please accept my apologies.
It's fine. I'll just say this. I don't understand what your argument was there. It seemed that you used some words, but they didn't really add up. You said you're trying to make little things big things, or big things small things. This is your data.
That's not what I said.
They analyzed more than 2,400 locations of Black Lives Matter protests, and they found that 93% were peaceful. This means that over 210 of them were not peaceful. Now, these are locations, not actual riots. So, for example, we know that there was something like 70 days in a row of riots in Portland in 2020. We know that there was a Chaz zone in Seattle where where violent left-wingers took over 6 city blocks, which resulted in the murder of at least one young African American. Now, my question is, if you could get into specifics, I want you to get into the specifics of your data from the ADL and CISIS and tell me how many examples of left-wing violence did they register in 2020? Because not only does the data show that there were hundreds upon hundreds of locations of left-wing violence under Black Lives Matter, but we all saw it with our own eyes.
Sorry, so what specifics are you looking for? I'll just search the data.
How many examples of left-wing violence do they report in 2020?
Sorry, I'm just searching the data. One sec.
Max, if you want to weigh in with something while he search, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. I don't want to monopolize this. I was just making sure that I had the chance to respond to the points that are made. Please carry on. Don, I do hope you don't have a hissy fit again. It's probably not good at your age to do that to your blood pressure.
Right. Stop with all the meta. You're just trying to.
Well, no, I'm looking after Don. He doesn't have to work his mic. He's a bit confused.
No, you're trying to trigger people for no reason.
Can you tell me, was the Pulse nightclub? Was that what category was that put in? Was that put in as left-right violence, or was that just, what was that? Can you tell me what the FBI classified that as?
Sorry, I'm in the middle of doing something for Rob. Maybe we can get back to you.
I will. That's fine. While you're looking for that, let me say. So this is the data that's collected, the second order, the people that are compiling the data. And like I said, these people have an axe to grind anyways. But let's look at the data collection in the first place. Not only do we see places like D.C. where there's law enforcement under fire for underreporting violent crimes that occurred there, but we can also see how this occurs with the FBI. For example, when Steve Scalise was shot by a radical Bernie supporter that sought to execute Republicans at a Republican ball field, blatantly citing the repeal of Obamacare, potential repeal, causing thousands upon thousands of deaths as his reason for the shooting. Did the FBI classify that as left-wing violence? No. They classified it as suicide by cop. And we see these sorts of things happen over and over. I believe the Fort Hood shooter was originally classified as workplace violence and not an example of Islamic terrorism. So what I'm arguing is at two levels, both at the law enforcement level, when it comes to law enforcement in places like New York City and other places, and with the FBI, they don't arrest these left-wing groups as much, and therefore the data doesn't show how much violence there was, and the people compiling the data play games with how they define left and right wing, and they often do things like cite prison violence as examples of right-wing violence, but they don't cite things like black supremacist gangs and attacks that they have as left-wing violence. And even when we see left-wing protests like Black Lives Matter that lead to hundreds upon hundreds of examples of violence causing billions of dollars of damage, causing dozens upon dozens of people dying, they don't cite that. And so it's no surprise if you choose to selectively be like, we choose to define political violence occurring as basically only right wing. Oh, and look at that. Surprise, surprise. The data says the right wing commits more political violence than the left. Everyone knows. We all know the truth. We know that the left does these things like political riots. And if that's not true, either you or Max, I'll ask you to cite me 5 examples of right-wing political riots.
Let's hand it over to Max to respond to some of your prior points there. And if you
why does
do
it
want to
have
answer
to
the question,
be?
go ahead.
Why does it have to be arbitrarily limited to riots?
But I'll explain why. Because that's the particular type of political violence that we're talking now. And in many ways, that's actually...
why? No,
I'll answer.
I reject that.
I'll answer if you don't mind. Because that's the type that's more ubiquitous and more instituting political and cultural change. Sure.
So just to clarify something, right? So I've kind of been working under the on the assumption with all my research, whereas if we're talking about violence, I'm talking about to people, right? I'm not talking about property getting damaged or things like that. When I talk about violence, I mean towards other people, right? So all the data that I've been talking about has been about that, right? Yeah, there's a lot of property. In fact, there's on the left, there's a lot more property damage than the right and stuff. But when you guys are talking about violence overall, can I just clarify exactly what we are talking about? Are we just talking about general being noisy and shouting and maybe smashing some windows and setting buildings on fire? Or are we talking about hurting people? Which one is it?
No, in fact, your opening statement talked about varying types of political violence, and it actually included things like vandalism, etc. Two things I'll say on this. One, sure, if you want to limit it to people, still, we saw far more, thousands upon thousands of injured during the Black Lives Matter riots, right? It would still be a higher number there, and your data is not going to, CISIS isn't going to take that into account. And secondly, the reason that we're hyper-focused at this point on riots, but I'm willing to extend it out to other forms of political violence, the riots specifically, though, are designed and effective at creating political and cultural change. For example, the riots we see right now against ICE are to try to change the United States policy on deportation that's being enacted out through ICE. Some lunatic going out and committing one random act of violence, although heinous, don't get me wrong, that's not really going to move the needle on shifting sort of the political winds of the country. However, we see that the violent actions of the riots on the left, the violence and intimidation they use, those things have had effect in using violence and intimidation to try to change our political and cultural discourse.
So
that.
the violence of having ICE kidnapping people left and right, hooded on the street, you're counting that violence, right? Then.
No, I don't think that we're talking about
got it. That's all I needed. Thank you.
No,
and can I just
we're
have
not talking
one more
about state
clarifying
action.
question?
No, we're not
Sorry.
talking. My violence is not violent. I
Yeah.
got
No,
that. That is just perfect.
Now,
Perfect illustration of.
Yeah, sorry.
Real quick,
yes.
real quick, Craig, if you don't mind, can I ask you a question real quick regarding this? Does the CISIS data, the FBI data, etc., take into account, quote, state violence?
Define state violence.
Like the police using violence, the military using violence, federal law enforcement using violence?
As far as I'm aware, I could double check the data, but
It doesn't. I assure you it doesn't.
I want to another clarifying question, if I may. When we're talking about people injured, like in Black Lives Matter, and you're like, well, there was over 2,000 people injured. Does that mean that every single one of them was injured by someone that is left wing? Because from what I'm aware, reading all the news, looking at the reports afterwards, the police reports and everything, a lot of the violence in the Black Lives Matters riots in 2020 were not just done by like Black Lives Matter / left wing, whatever. It was actually like counter protesters and looters and just ordinary criminals, etc. Even the police were some of the people that caused of those 2,000 injuries that you mentioned. So, are you classifying all 2,000 injuries as left wing violence?
Well,
Yes,
hold
I
on,
would.
Craig. Can I
Good,
just
good.
really quickly? I know you want Rob to answer this, but can I actually go ahead, Rob, and then I want to ask Craig a question. I'm just curious about something.
While it is true that we could say that handfuls of those violence may have been committed by people outside the scope, we would include law enforcement responding to left-wing violence and people being injured as injuries that occurred under left-wing violence. We also should be very dubious about the idea that right-wingers supposedly were massively inflicting violence at these left-wing protests that we saw occur over and over again. It just belies not only what we saw with our own eyes, but actually the way that things were when it came to sort of the investigations that occurred within. There weren't mass amounts of Boogaloo boys or anything like that. It's just cope. It's just pure cope to say that when we saw, for example, the fires that were raging and we saw CNN standing there and saying it's mostly peaceful, we know what was going on. There's no reason we should limit it just to people being injured. We should also look at property damage as well. But if we did limit it just to people, which I don't concede that we should, we can see that far more people were injured, including law enforcement, including civilians, including members of the press, etc. And there were more people that were killed during the Black Lives Matter riots than happened during any right-wing riots. And I'm still waiting for you to name me the right-wing riots.
Are you taking into account the 312 incidents of police accidentally tasering and injuring their own force during those riots?
I would say that most of that would count still as examples where law enforcement had to act, and it led to this. Tell me,
Not law
if you were,
enforcement
let me
negligence.
real quick. Would that mean that the data that suggests January 6th was right-wing violence took into account when police injured themselves, which certainly happened? We see video of it, of them accidentally tear gassing themselves, tasing themselves, etc.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm not specifically saying that there was just right-wing violence as well. That not that Black Lives Matters is necessarily classified as just a left-wing organization, but let's work in the assumption that it is. The riots that you're talking about, the people that got injured, it was not just because of them. The counter-protesters, the people there to protest against the protesters, caused a lot of property damage and stuff as well. So, I mean, they decided to do that and causing violence in an act of defense or property damage in an act of defense shouldn't lie in the blame of the people on the other side. So I just want to say that you're trying to, lump things in that aren't there. Like when you're trying to say there was this many, but it was actually one large one that you were trying to break into smaller groups. At the same time, you're trying to say that all of the injuries during the Black Lives Matters, even if it was done by counter-protesters or police being negligent because they're not very good at their job, you're still blaming the Black Lives Matters / left wing for that. And I don't think that's the correct thing to do.
I assure you the data that would be compiling right-wing violence, talking about right-wing riots, would do the same. It would say if law enforcement was injured in a right-wing riot, that would count as an example of right-wing violence, right? And even if it was that a law enforcement officer accidentally hurt themselves, it would still imply that. Now, the question I have for you, seeing as how you're saying that there are, during the hundreds upon hundreds of examples that we could point to of left-wing riots during the Black Lives Matter protests, can you show me the one that you're talking about where right-wing agitators were creating large amounts of violence to property and people? Give me one example.
From what I've seen, that happened in every single one.
Every single one.
From my honest, unbiased, outside of the United States, getting media from left, right, centrist, from what I saw during the Black Lives Matters stuff was both sides being dickheads, right? Yes, a lot of it was started by Black Lives Matters, but then people countering it went way too far and caused violence and suffering on their side. You're trying to lump all of the bad stuff that happened with BLM on the left, and that is a disingenuous and incorrect thing to do, because that is not the case.
Again, what we're talking about is the difference between I'm doing is taking left-wing riots that resulted in property damage and people being injured, right? And saying those should count as left-wing violence. And this mysteriously doesn't show up in your data set that's saying that we should count it. Your answer to this is, but wait a minute, maybe some of those people were hurt by counter-protesters. Or maybe some of the people, let me finish, maybe some of the people that got hurt there were law enforcement officers that accidentally tased themselves or tripped or something and did it themselves. Meanwhile, you're citing data set that literally is so broad. I'll give you some examples here. I've gone through the prosecution process or the persecution project and CIS's, and I'll give you some examples of the things that they qualify as right-wing violence. These would be things that include prison riots or racial gangs fighting other racial gangs in prison, but only if they're white. Then that counts as right-wing violence. If it's a black gang or if it's black supremacists throughout the country that are engaged in violence, that does not show up as examples of left-wing violence. It is clear that what I'm citing that all of us seen, and I don't know why, it's what's so frustrating to me.
Black supremacist?
Real quick, Max, and I promise I'll give you a chance. It's frustrating to me because I'm tired of this argument where we just hear lefties yell, source, please. We all saw it. This isn't something that's imagined. We saw it and we continue to see it today. There are riots ongoing against ICE right now from the left. It's ridiculous.
I want to let Max ask this question right quick.
I'm not a leftist, just to be clear. I'm not left or right. So I'm on the outside looking in, and I'm just telling you what the data says.
I don't believe you, but that's okay.
I've never heard of a black supremacist. That's a first.
Black Hebrew Israelites.
That's not a black supremacist.
Oh.
They're not? They don't feel that black people are superior and the true Jews?
Yeah, but that's not a supremacy. That they're theologically, the Jews still think the same about them. It's a theological position, not a racial one.
Yes, there are many organizations that think that black people are superior.
Black supremacists.
In fact, I don't want to get into an argument about definitions, outside of the realms. There's a big part of our audience that wanted us to get into back to our topic.
One of my predictions was that there was going to be a whole lot of appealing to emotion. And I think calling black Hebrew Israelites black supremacists
they call themselves black Israelites, actually.
Yes, but they don't call themselves black supremacists.
All right. I want to try to bring us back into what we were discussing.
Yeah, could I?
If we can.
I just need to know if you made a mistake or you lied.
No, there are groups of people that are militant, that are black, that think that blacks are the superior race.
Yeah, that is true, but that's fine. Just because you don't believe it doesn't have any relevance here. So I want to kind of come back and kind of take a little bit different tact on Rob's argument, and when I guess, Craig, what we're doing here is it seems like you're counting bodies versus counting behavior is kind of what the kind of way I'm looking at what you're saying is. Would that be fair? Would that be a fair assessment?
I count violence toward people as violence.
Well, I don't think that's true because the FBI data only shows fatalities. They don't show injuries. They only care about. Matter of fact, the ADL and the FBI data both cover homicides only. Were you aware of that when you compiled your data?
That's where I get the fact that it shows that the violence on the right that there is more lethal than the violence on the left. No one is denying that there's violence on the left. But
that's not what
the data
we're talking
show,
about. Violence.
Can I finish?
And violence is literally popping somebody upside his jaw. That's violence. Would you not agree?
Hold on, work together. He just finished his question. Can you repeat your question, Don? And let's try to have a back and forth if we can.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. I'm used to it.
I was trying to say something, but it was fine. You know.
Well, you're both talking over each other a little bit. Like I said, sometimes there's time for healthy injection, but
it's okay. I have a 5-year-old. I'm used to this.
I do want to go back.
You better treat them better than you do this.
Go ahead, Don, if you want to get us back on topic here.
Yeah, so I guess I tried to be gentle about this earlier, but since Craig is bound by statistics, both the ADL and the FBI data only covers one metric, and that is homicide. They don't cover burned buildings. They don't cover people that are maced or have concrete blocks thrown in their face or houses that are burnt or any of these other things, which would you say, Craig, that is violence?
Would I say damaging a building is violence? It's
yes. What about throwing concrete, whatever those things that the Antifa threw in that reporter's face? Would that be considered violence?
What about trying to overthrow
if it hit
the
a reporter,
government?
then yeah. But if it just smashes a window and doesn't really hurt anyone, I see that as property damage and not necessarily violence. But that's just because when I talk about violence, I talk about hurting people.
All right. We can go with that. We can leave the property damage out.
The important thing is that we look at who's being killed, who the bullets are hitting, who's dying, and the violence that causes that, the violence that causes
death is the only violence.
The violence that causes death is much more on the right than on the left. The overall amount.
I don't believe that the numbers actually reflect that. We can get into that.
The overall amount of. I'm sorry, Don. Do you have an impulse control issue?
No, I just think that you're being overly wordy, and I just want to move through this debate. I don't need you to say. You can say something
5 or 6 words, and you
shouldn't
interrupt
take 10 to do it.
So, if you don't have the patience to listen, if you're short attention span, that's a you problem.
We're back on the meta discussion. Yeah. Max, you had injected with a point.
I want you to trying to topple the government political violence.
No, yes, we counted January 6th political violence by all metrics. It resulted in the largest FBI task force in history, as opposed to the far more damaging Black Lives Matter rallies, including a rally on May 29th through 31st that turned into a riot that attacked the White House, injuring over 60 law enforcement officers using lethal weapons such as Molotov cocktails in an attempt to get into the White House and remove Donald Trump. Something that was so bad that Donald Trump was forced to be moved into a bunker, to which many lefties, including Joe Biden, made fun of him for having to be moved to a bunker. No, what was going on January 6th wasn't them trying to overflow the government, as is evidenced by the fact that they were able to infiltrate the Capitol and didn't do anything in order to overthrow the government and peacefully left by the end of it. Now, it's interesting that your partner talked about engagement when police were starting violence and things like that, but none of that consideration is given for what happened on January 6th.
Can we cut down the monologues? So somehow January 6th was peaceful. Is that what you said?
No, I believe I said the exact opposite, that we count that as an instance of violence, although it wasn't an attempt to overthrow the government. Do you count May 20th? Do you count May 30th and 31st as an act of violence when left-wingers injured 60 law enforcement officers using Molotov cocktails attempting to get into the White House? Do you count that as an act?
I didn't even hear about that.
That's right. Isn't that interesting? You didn't hear about that. And that's sort of my point, that this left-wing violence occurs so often that we just accept it. And so when something like May 30th, 31st happens and 60 law enforcement people are injured, you know what you did hear about, though? You heard about Bunker Boy. You heard the left making fun of Trump for Secret Service having to move him to a bunker.
No, I didn't even hear that.
Well, I guess, like, it's a shame that the media doesn't cover these examples of left-wing violence attempting to get into the White House to usurp the president.
So that actually never happened.
It did happen. May 30th,
No,
31st,
it didn't happen.
2020. It did happen.
No. So what actually happened, they threw plastic bottles, rocks and fireworks and a few incendiary bottles over the fence line. One small fire was set in historic St. John's Episcopal Church across the street. About 60 Secret Service officers and 11 US Park police officers were injured, but no protester breached the White House grounds and no one stormed or attacked the building itself. No credible evidence shows an organized left-wing or BLM plot to firebomb or enter the White House. So, I mean, what you've just said didn't happen.
It certainly happened. What I said was there was an attempt by them using Molotov cocktails, that's an incendiary device, that resulted in over 60 agents being hurt, an attempt to breach the White House. That's exactly what happened.
No protester attempted to breach the White House. That did not
That's
happen.
not true.
On.
That's
You're
not
breaking
true.
your own rule there, Craig. You just interrupted. I don't mind if you guys want to have the back and forth, but
He literally
we can't
finished
cry
his
poo-poo.
sentence.
No, he did not.
That's not...
He did.
It's not true that they didn't attempt to get into the White House. The fact that they were unsuccessful doesn't mean that they didn't attempt. They were attacking and injured 60 law enforcement agents. In your estimation, what were they doing then as they marched towards the White House and were using lethal weapons to attack law enforcement? What, they were just going to stop at the lawn?
There is no evidence they were trying to get into the White House. They were just trying...
Yes, the evidence is they were marching to the White House.
So maybe they wanted to be around the White House to have a protest. There's literally zero evidence that they were trying to get into the White House. There was no attempted breach. No one even went near the White House. The most that happened was a little rocket bottle firework went over the fence. Nobody attempted to go anywhere near the White House. You are literally reading from right-wing propaganda that's exaggerating an incident that really didn't happen.
That's not true. They literally were stopped feet outside the White House fence. They were stopped literally right outside it. Downplaying it like, oh, it was just like one Molotov cocktail. And yes, they just burnt down one building. Like, can you explain to me, if this was a nothing incident, how did over 60 law enforcement members get injured?
Because they went to stop it. And
in other
scuffles
words,
happened. I'm not saying that there wasn't violence. I'm not saying that, don't get me wrong, but your claim of them trying to breach the White House is just factually incorrect. No law enforcement, hold on, no law enforcement reported that was happening. No media reported that was happening. No statistics and nothing from it afterwards reported that anyone attempted to breach the White House. There is zero evidence that happened. If there is evidence that what you are saying took place, that they attempted to breach the White House, could you please present it other than just saying, well, what else were they doing there? Please,
yes,
can you just show me the evidence?
There's tons of videos online showing them using weapons, attacking law enforcement, marching towards the White House, chanting about hating Donald Trump and wanting to remove him. The idea that you want us to believe that because CNN or another media outlet that barely covered this story anyways didn't say, and oh, by the way, they were trying to get into the White House. And we can see that with our own eyes, that as they attack law enforcement marching toward the White House, where Secret Service was forced to remove Donald Trump because they were getting so close to the White House, so they had to remove him to a secure bunker. And you saying, but unless CNN tells me that they were attempting to get into the White House, then we don't accept it. It's absolute bullshit. Everyone can see what they were doing.
So a statement from the Secret Service says there was physical confrontations and projectiles at officers, but there was no attempt for anyone to breach the White House perimeter. That is from the Secret Service.
No, I don't. Then why did they move Trump to a bunker?
That's just protocol.
So show me that. Put the source up.
All my sources will be in the description of this video.
I want what are you reading from right now? That a quote from the Secret Service.
I'm reading media reports from what the Secret Service said.
Okay.
The Secret Service statement, May 31st, 2020, described physical confrontations and projectiles at officers, but made no claim that anyone tried to breach the White House perimeter. No, it's actually Washington something or other.
Washington Post.
Read that again.
Washington Post.
Read that again.
Read it again.
Right. Yes.
Secret Service statement from May 31st, 2020 described physical confrontations and projectiles at officers, but made no claim that anyone tried to breach the White House perimeter. Now, I will admit that I have this is just the first news story that I've... Wait, hold on, let me finish my point. This is the first news story that I've come across, but I am yet to come across any stories that report any attempt
you misrepresented what that said,
I am yet to come across any stories that say that they attempted to breach the White House perimeter.
That's not the point, Craig. You misrepresented what it said.
How will I?
Yes.
You originally said that the Secret Service said they did not attempt to
issued a statement.
They issued a statement.
The Secret Service statement, May 31st, 2020.
I understand. That, that's not what you just read, though. What you just read changed it. No, it's not.
Isn't.
Originally, please, Craig, please.
I didn't change
Weren't you upset? Weren't you upset when you said people were interrupting you? I've been very patient and allowed you to talk the entire time.
I apologize. I'm not interrupting.
Okay. That's fine.
I don't mind. I personally don't mind if you guys interrupt, as long as you guys can do it with some decorum.
So just to clarify, I have not changed what I've said. What I've said from the beginning and what I say now is Secret Service statement.
An opportunity
May 31st.
to interrupt right after crying poo-poo. Go ahead, Robert. It's your turn.
All right. It seemed that what you were suggesting originally was the Secret Service made a declarative statement that no one tried to breach the White House. Yeah. Now what you're reading is that they didn't make a statement that someone did attempt to breach the White House. Those are two different things.
That's not what I've said. I've said every single time the Secret Service statement, May 31st, 2020, described physical confrontations and projectiles at officers, but made no claim that anyone tried to breach the White House perimeter. That is what I have said all along. I have never changed what I've said.
That's not what it sounded like you said. Nonetheless,
that's not the statement you made, Craig. And
that's I'm reading the exact same thing every single time. I have read the same words every time. I don't know what you guys are hearing, but
well, you're interrupting again a little more aggressively, and that's, like I say, it's fine. But let's let Robert finish his point.
Okay. Nonetheless, we could see that anyone with any modicum of sense could see that as they were marching to the White House, they were attempting to get in the White House as they were injuring Secret Service and other law enforcement. And here's what happens: because the media doesn't cover it, because the FBI never did a large investigation into that, because Democrats made fun of Trump for having to be used to a bunker, we don't consider this as a serious issue. Now, I guarantee that Craig Sissis data doesn't include this as an example of left-wing violence, despite the fact that it was so serious that the president was moved to a bunker. Craig, since you haven't been able to provide example yet of the data you're using and how many left-wing examples of violence there was in 2020, I'll ask you now, does it specifically cite this incident as an example of left-wing violence?
I have not seen this specific incident in the reports. I could check to see. Again, the reports are extensive. There is many of them containing thousands of pages of data, and I have not perused all of them. I have tried to analyze the figures that are possible, but I was only told about this debate a couple of weeks ago, and I've been dealing with my mum dying, so I have not gone through every single page of every single thing. I have, however, read the conclusions and the analysis of them. But just going back to the, I'm literally finding zero reports of them. The most it says is that they, Trump was moved to the bunker after protesters breached temporary fences near the White House complex. That's not them attempting to breach the White House. Is that what you were referring to?
Yes, it stands by what it says. I stand by they were attacking the White House. They were using law enforcement. The difference was law enforcement knows that the left's violent, and so they had an adequate presence there, unlike when right-wingers protest and there's almost no violence. To go off some of these, like the Persecution Project, which is one of the studies that's often cited, I went through this before. Actually, someone else went through it, but I've read this on stream. Here's some examples just starting randomly in 2020 of things they categorize as right-wing violence. 2 cases of people arrested and charged for peacefully protesting outside of abortion clinic. That was considered right-wing violence. Next up, we have an armed robbery that targeted Mexicans. The armed robbers were blacks. This counted as 3 different events as right-wing violence because they used racial slurs at the Hispanics. So 3 black people robbing a Mexican but using racial slurs at Mexicans, that counts as right-wing violence. Next, there was a defacement of a Catholic church. This was considered a right-wing example of violence. So they put swastikas, KKK, white supremacists, Satan lives Flerfs here. That was categorized as an example of right-wing violence. Next, we have Muslims that were attacking Jews. 2022, Shadeen Hussein was charged with felony hate crimes, criminal damage, and defacement over the previous week. Hussein targeted synagogues with hate symbols, etc. This wasn't categorized as Islamic violence. It was categorized as right-wing violence, right? Now, this is just the examples that they miscategorized as right-wing violence. It doesn't include the examples that they didn't include of left-wing violence. Now, what I'm asking you specifically to do, and you keep mischaracterizing it, is you keep saying, I haven't got into the specifics. All I'm asking you is, what was the total in your data, the total examples of left-wing violence in 2020? That shouldn't be hard to come up with. What's the total amount? Yes, in 2020.
Sorry, before you asked me for 5 specific ones, which I'd gathered.
I asked for 5 specific political riots from the right, sure. But the first question I asked you that you said you were researching was, how many examples of left-wing violence does CISA say happened in 2020?
All right. No, that's. I'm sorry.
While you look for that, let me.
And now I've got. Well, you asked me for the 5. You didn't ask me for the total. So which one do you want? I'll have to go back into my data now.
I'm more than willing to accept. I asked 2 questions. The first question I asked, and you started typing and said you were researching it, was, how many examples does your data of left-wing violence have in 2020? And you said, let me get that for you.
No, that was the 5. But now, that's what I've done, yeah.
Okay, but that's fine. So, I asked that question subsequently. 5? Sure. Right-wing riots, political riots. Here we go.
Boogaloo killings in California, the Michigan governor kidnapping plot, the Kenosha shooter, the Portland vehicle ramming and armed confrontations, the militia convoy, Oregon State Capitol, December 2020.
Wait, did one of those say the Kenosha shooter? Kyle Rittenhouse was considered right-wing violence? Someone who was found innocent.
Lined himself online with pro-militia rhetoric, shot people during Kenosha, Winter 2022. Max,
this is what I'm talking about.
Would you agree that Kyle Rittenhouse was right-wing?
I don't know. I think that he was someone that was upset that left-wingers were rioting and he wanted to defend property, right? But seeing as how he did not commit an unjustified act of violence and was merely defending himself again against violent left-wingers. Now, I wonder, does that same data set that falsely likens Kenosha as right-wing violence because Rittenhouse lawfully defended itself, does it also list it as left-wing violence?
Well, I'm looking at one bit of data right now. I'm just trying to confirm. Everything that I can see shows Kyle Rittenhouse as being right-wing and acting in a violent way, seen by extremist channels of Patriot Hero, where he claimed self-defense but acted amid armed right-wing counter-mobilization. Claimed self-defense but acted amid armed right-wing counter-mobilization around protests. All the statistics include that in there. So
okay, so just to be clear, now the audience can see what I'm talking about. Now, a person who was frustrated because, let me finish, law enforcement stood down. If you remember the story, what happened, I forget the name of the gentleman, but there was a black gentleman who was taken out by police, and it later found out that that was justified. It was misrepresented because what he was doing was going into a car with a knife where there were children after the police attempted to tase him. But the media decided to downplay this and paint the story as the opposite and say this was an innocent black man that was killed. This resulted in riots that was occurring in Kenosha. Police stood down. The governor refused to accept the National Guard. So what happened was citizens decided to arm themselves because of constant nights of left-wing rioting and decided that they were going to protect property. In the instance of that, we had a violent person that attacked Rittenhouse while he was open carrying. Rittenhouse attempted to flee the scene. That person chased him. Behind Rittenhouse, he heard a gunshot. He turns around in a moment of panic. The man's grabbing his gun and he fires his firearm. It ends up taking out that person. Then a mob of people attack Rittenhouse, one of them themselves armed. Rittenhouse shoots back in self-defense and immediately runs to the police. He's later exonerated in a court of law. And all of the data that you're using qualifies that not as a left-wing example of violence that was covered up for by the media and the police stood down for, which it actually was, but actually qualifies it as an example of right-wing violence. This is why Grid and I don't trust the data.
This is why you can't trust the data, period.
All right, Max, I feel like I've totally monopolized, please.
This is all very nice and petty, but as I said, we can trade instance for instance. I am actually more interested in some of the systematic forms of violence. Starting from the top, I have a series of maybe 3 or 4 rapid fire questions. Is inflammatory rhetoric political violence?
No. Do you think it is?
Yeah.
Well, let's actually. That's a good question.
Great, if I may. If
Yeah,
that's
go ahead.
true, do we have the right to self-defense?
Yeah.
Okay, so if my inflammatory rhetoric is violence, is someone allowed to punch me to stop it because it's an act of self-defense for them?
No.
But wait a minute, then how can my language be violence? If you have the right to defend yourself and my language is violence...
Those are not the only... That's not how any of that works.
Language isn't violence.
What I'm trying to say is that when, for example, you have, starting from the top, Trump talking about Biden and Harris as the radical left, when they are very far from radical and very far from left, that is a level of violence. It doesn't have to be the level of violence that would entice you to punch someone back in the throat.
Sorry. Can I ask you, how does the left define violence? Is it only when a person is physically harmed, or does any of these other things, property destruction, arson, intimidation, do those count? Is intimidation violence?
Yeah.
You think so? Okay.
Oh, so let me ask you this.
It's not.
No, well, it depends, right? Let me ask you that. Words aren't violence, though, right? Like, if I show up at your house with ball bats and stuff, we could say that that's an example of intimidation, which could be classified as violence. But the words itself aren't. But if you say that Trump calling Kamala Harris and Joe Biden radical left is an act of violence, when they call him a fascist, is that an act of violence?
Yeah.
Okay, so then your argument is that pretty much everyone on every political ledger is constantly engaged in violence. Because even the lefties that you'll celebrate talk about the evils of evil corporate capitalists and authoritarians and fascists. All of that would be violence, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's why we're focused on non-state violence. And I'm sorry to say, I think what you're talking about is a red herring.
But the problem is that you're trying to focus on that because right now, you actually have the power, like you are in power, and
well, I'm not in
ICE
power.
is you as in the party, the royal we. Can we stop being petty about words?
Well, it doesn't really work that way.
You are in power, and right now, ICE is snatching American citizens from the street.
ICE is lawfully enforcing the law. That's not an example of violence anymore.
That's a problem. That's a problem, is that they're not.
I disagree. It's not the debate.
Snatching people from the street, American citizens with papers.
Well,
they're gone for a couple of days.
Not actually happened.
I'm sorry
I appreciate the diversion, but I would really like to get back to the actual argument. And
no,
so,
but how is that not violence?
Hold on. I don't.
You are in power and you're over enforcing. There's a
well, we can have an entirely different debate on state violence. But that's not what this is about. We're talking about the left is violent, right? And so
no, we're talking about the left and the right. The right is in power, so the right, the system of the state
again
imposing violence is valid. It's fair game. There's no reason why it shouldn't be.
If that was the truth, then why do we have riots currently, and the people that are rioting are the left? So I just kind of want to stick to a line of questioning here.
Do you not understand how opposition works? And right now, you keep saying riots. We've come from the No Kings marches, that they were just that. They were marches. They weren't riots.
Of course, there were some that were marches, but there were also some that were riots, like in Portland. In fact, one of the things you did that belies the seriousness of the tone that you're trying to take is you implied that because people were in inflatable suits in places like Portland, dressed up like characters like unicorns and dinosaurs, that somehow implied that they weren't engaged in acts of violence. Of course, this is a tactic to, one, make it appear as if these people are whimsical when the case is that they're not, and secondly, to hide their identity. The prompt is clearly referencing individuals, which is why your partner has cited statistics that don't factor in state violence whatsoever. The fact that you want to quibble about saying that there is no left wing in the United States, then want to talk specifically about law enforcement being examples of right wing violence is a completely different debate. I would like to cite some examples of left wing violence, if you wouldn't mind.
No. I keep wondering why you just get to say, oh, this type of violence, the one that we particularly do right now because we are in power, all of that, you can just dismiss it because I don't want to talk about that.
Is any state authority enforced through violence? All state authority enforced through violence?
Yes.
So
But
any left-wing government...
But there is a book. There's a book that we go by. So when you're literally snatching U.S. citizens off the street, put them in a black bag over their head and kidnapping them to whoever knows
It's not happening. It's not happening.
Yeah, that's not happening. And I appreciate the derailment, but I'd really like to get back to the actual argument, sir.
Yeah.
Give me the name of the person that happened to.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
And while you're doing that, can you explain to me why, if violence is justified by oppression, I guess is what you're trying to say there, who decides when that oppression exists? And does that moral license ever expire? And because you seem to be trying to equate that with whoever's in power, and yet our system just doesn't work that way. I understand you may not understand that, but I'd really like an answer to it.
What are you talking about?
I'm going to read some. I don't understand.
I feel like it's pretty clear.
No, wait.
I was very clear.
Yeah, but what? I know you think you were clear, but you weren't.
Okay, I will say it again. If what you're saying is that violence can be justified by oppression, right? Oppression.
Wait, stop. Okay, hold on.
Be right back.
Because are you calling protesting violence?
I'm sorry?
Are you calling protesting violence? If people just march on the street, no right?
No, I didn't call anything violence. I'm asking you what you call violence, and you said you came back with, well, these people, the ICE are arresting these people off the street, and obviously you believe that ICE is committing violence, and so do you believe that violence is justified by oppression? So those people could then go out because they are oppressed and commit violence.
No, that's not how that works.
That's not how that works?
There's obviously different types of violence, and the response should also be like, basically we have that in self-defense, that the principle, the response has to be kind of on the level of the aggression. So is someone coming at you with a knife?
We're not talking about the level of the violence. We're talking about
right. But
if it's okay to be violent when you're oppressed, if it's okay for the left to be violent when they're oppressed and the right is in power, if that's okay, then who decides that? Who decides that they're oppressed? And does it ever expire? So when the left is in power, do I as a person on the right get to feel oppressed and then commit violence with a pass?
No,
because it seems like you guys, both of you, Craig and you, are both talking out of both sides.
It doesn't seem that because we never said that. You're just inventing it.
No,
what I say,
well,
for example, if as a people you are facing oppression, you can march on the street, you can march peacefully. There's a lot of ways in which you can put pressure to power that are the lesser forms of violence, or even a march.
But you just said violence is okay. I don't care if it's a lesser form. I don't care. I mean, violence is violence.
Fire goes to the lake of fire. Don't lie about me.
Okay, this is all red herring. The truth is that I'll dispense with this very quickly. Name me a left-wing government, since you're saying there is no right in. Give me historically a true left-wing government. The Bolsheviks, Soviet Union,
the government of Uruguay today.
The government of Uruguay today. Do they enact violence?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
The violence that goes inextricably tied with enforcement, it's not a win for you.
I would say that if you want to play fast and loose with definitions of left and right, the governments that we can see that would be easily identified as left, such as the Bolsheviks and the Soviet Union, Mao and the Great Leap Forward, led to hundreds upon hundreds of millions of people dying. This is not what the prompt is talking about. The prompt is clearly talking about non-state actors of violence. Your conspiracy theories and hatred of Trump exercising legitimate authority is worthless.
Nothing of the prompt limits. You don't want to use this because it's a very big defeater for your position. I get that.
Lawful use of state authority is not the violence
Yeah,
that we're talking
that's
about.
my point. That when ICE is kidnapping American citizens,
Name them.
They're not.
Name them.
They're not enacting violence.
Name them.
I'm sorry. They're not enacting the law, which is political violence, and you want to run away from it.
Name the American
puts
citizen.
pressure
Name the
on-
American citizen that's been kidnapped with a black bag over their head. Go ahead.
In the last couple of
Meanwhile-
weeks, ICE has shot a priest with a pepper ball in Portland, violently tackled and arrested a journalist documenting a raid in Portland, and tear-gassed a birthday party full of children in Chicago.
What you're doing is reading left-wing sources that don't have the context of this. What we see is when we look into this, for example,
sources.
for example, the priest was
Famous
at a lawfully.
statistics.
The priest was at a place that was lawfully declared a riot that people were asked to leave, and he was there. And as police were pushing back against, it would be no different than if I said this. Did you know there was a priest at January 6th that was hit with tear gas? And you'd be like, holy fuck, that's terrible. Yes, if a priest was there when there were clashes with violent left-wingers and law enforcement, yes, there's a chance that they'll get hit with the munitions that the police are using to beat them back. Now let's
Violently
compare
tackled
that.
and arrested a journalist documenting a raid in Portland. What about that one?
Yes, Antifa frequently calls themselves journalists. For example, we could see the
No, it was
story
an
that came out of
actual
Chicago.
journalist.
Let me finish. We could see the example that came out of Chicago where there was a woman that worked for WGN and she was billed as a journalist and they threw her on the ground and her pants were around her buttocks and they were saying, oh my gosh, this woman's a journalist that was attacked brutally. What we saw was what happened was this was a person that literally threw a beverage at an ICE vehicle that was driving by in a dangerous situation. She was then lawfully arrested. But the media ran with the story and said, here was an innocent journalist that did nothing that ICE just decided to throw to the ground. What happens is these journalists oftentimes are Antifa or Antifa sympathetic, or they're in the crossfire when there are law enforcement trying to push back against the violent lefties that are attacking. And then people like you read these stories from places like CNN and say, oh my goodness, this is attack against innocent people.
And do you have any evidence for all that you just said?
I just gave you the entire story of the woman from WGN.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you claimed something. You got any evidence?
I don't know if you know how this works, but I asked you, do you have any evidence for all of that lovely yapping that you just did?
I'm reading right here from a blog post that said Joe Biden is
from
wait,
got it. From a blog post. Got
I'm
it.
reading right here
That's
from a blog.
That's three. I got you. 2 hand wave dismissals, and now we're quoting from a blog post. Got it.
I don't know what you're trying to say. I don't understand if it's your accent or your
Yeah,
stupidity.
it's okay. The
Nonetheless,
smart
it would be
people
no
will get
different if I said this. I'm reading from a
Racist
blog
as well,
post
nice.
that said that Joe Biden claimed that he's a lefty. He personally attacked right-wing journalists all the time using violence and pepper spray. And this same blog post says that, trust me, all the journalists that are claimed to have been attacked under Trump weren't really journalists and it was justified. There you go. There's my evidence. That's
Mr.
what you're
Miyagi
doing.
Mr. Miyagi would be really proud of you with all that hand wave dismissing.
I'm going to, seeing as how this is going nowhere, I'm going to read some examples of left-wing violence just recently. We had the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We had the attack
That was
on
not left.
ICE.
Hold on. That was not verified as left-wing violence. There is, and let's be clear, unbiased from outside, there is zero evidence to suggest the person that shot Charlie Kirk was left-wing. If anything, he came from a right-wing, Trump-loving, gun-loving family. There is zero evidence that has been verified to suggest the shooter of Charlie Kirk was left-wing. Let's please not do that because that's disrespectful.
Yeah, a lot of right wingers have
please,
trans girlfriends.
So, well, now,
There's no
instead of
evidence he had a
sparking
trans
out-
girlfriend either. There is no evidence that that is true.
Are you sure?
Instead of Go ahead, Grid.
And
I mean, whenever the Republicans go to a city, they crash Grinder. Is that the measure that we're like because someone had a trans girlfriend that now counts as a
The assassination of Charlie Kirk's left-wing violence. We have the parents of the
No, that's
family
not.
and of the person they were taking. Please, you threw a big fit when you said people were interrupting
Yeah,
you.
but you're
I've
lying.
been
You're
in-
literally lying. You can't just lie to people with something as disgusting as that. Someone died, and let's not lie about it.
The assassination of Charlie Kirk
right.
was done by a left
All right,
winger.
well, let's
No,
we
it
know
was
that
not.
point.
That's a
If he's
lie.
lying, you can confirm that afterward. Hold
Okay.
on. If you believe he's lying,
they
then
seem to be living in a world
state that
where
afterwards.
only
Let's let him
Casey-
state his case.
The
Hold on,
assassination
Mark.
of Charlie
I'm handing
Kirk
it back
was
to
done.
Robert just to state his case, and then you guys can respond.
The assassination of Charlie Kirk was a left-wing act of violence. We know that this is the most likely case because, one, they used the language of the left calling him a fascist. This is not something that people on the right would use to attack someone like Charlie Kirk. Second, we have examples from the family of these shooters saying that they became scary radical left. Third, we know that the roommate was someone that the family of them said was becoming scary radical left. Fourth, we see that he wrote to his transgender lover that lived with him and that we know that because it was trans that the scenario is they're most likely left. All of this is more evidence than almost every example that the studies like CISA will use to say that there are examples of right-wing violence, and yet he repeats them without cause. So one, we have the Charlie Kirk. Second, we have the attack on an ICE facility in Dallas where they were shooting ICE agents that resulted in the deaths of 2 detainees. Third, we have the Antifa attack in Dallas against ICE also in July that resulted in law enforcement getting shot in the neck. Next, we have the attack on an ABC affiliate that was pissed off and they shot in...
Too far. Because you have quite a bit there.
Every time.
We could probably maybe respond to a few of those. Hold on.
So if I
hold
could
on there,
just
Max.
respond to the
we're going
Charlie
to
Kirk
respond
one.
to maybe a couple of those, and then we'll let you continue on.
If I could just do one,
sure,
Max,
let's start there, and we'll try to
right.
move through some of the examples that Robert gave.
So literally everything that he said about the Charlie Kirk shooting was incorrect. The Charlie Kirk shooting rumor about the suspect having a trans lover was pushed by tabloids but disputed and then rolled back by many more reliable outlets. So there's literally zero evidence.
Give me the outlet. Give me the outlet that rolled it back. Go ahead.
There's Wall Street Journal quietly walks back false claim Charlie Kirk shooter had a pro-trans message on his book. So there we go. Right
What is
now,
that?
now, if I can finish my response without you splurging out, that'd be great.
That wasn't what you claimed. Gotcha.
Literally was what I claimed. He walked back.
You
the
said
claim.
that they said that he didn't have a trans lover. Now you're saying Wall Street Journal rolls back claim that he wrote trans message on the bullets. That's not the same claim that you made.
Let me read the whole thing to you. That framing is amplified by commenters eager to draw a connection with transparent people, Justice Department official stressing that the bulletin is detailed, blah, blah. New York Times reported that there is no evidence that ammunition... No, there's nothing in there about him having a trans partner.
But you said they rolled it back.
Right, okay, I'll get the other sources for that one.
Everybody knows.
Sorry,
what do you think?
Let me get the other one. Hold on, give me a sec to get the other source.
While you're looking at, what do you think he meant when he said "catch this fascist"? That was a right winger saying that, a centrist. But he wrote that in the bullet. What do you think?
Do you think that you can be right wing and also hate fascists?
Sure, that's a possibility. However, overwhelmingly, the people that use language like calling someone like Charlie Kirk a fascist are left-wingers. The propensity of the evidence is overwhelming. Why haven't you guys done this much research and all the studies you're citing, and you just accept when you say, trust me, when the CISA says it's a right-winger, it is? I just went through examples of how CISA was flawed and the Persecution Project was flawed in their mischaracterization.
I didn't mention CISA.
Of course you did. That's your entire opening statement was using data from CISA.
For Charlie Kirk, I haven't mentioned CISA.
I didn't say you did. I said that you just say CISA
But
says,
didn't
therefore
just
it's
use CISA,
true.
Though. No, I didn't just say CISA.
No, he used the ADL and
I
FBI
used
as well.
ADI, Department of Homeland Security, the AELDL. I used 8 different sources. And the New York Post actually also ran back his trans lover.
Let's hear the quote.
Charlie Kirk, suspect, trans lover, Lance Twig, blah blah. I hate the way these fucking pages are. It's like 95% adverts, and you're trying to find actual. I know I've got to click an advert.
You are aware that the official story is that this shooter actually wrote to this trans person, and said, "I'm sorry, I did this," or text them. You're aware of that, correct? Or is that made up? Did they roll that back as well?
I can't find the exact quotes right now. I would have to.
Shame.
Now, by the way, I think Bonner Day Debate's down. I mean, I'm still up on my channel, but if you guys want to wait, I'm cool with that.
Wait.
However you want to do it.
Where'd he go?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that his connection went out or something like that.
Right.
Is their live stream still up?
He'll be back.
No, where it froze.
1
Okay,
second.
I'll take a second to go to the toilet.
Go ahead.
I'm calling.
Oh, the actual stream like ended on the MDD side. Like
While
the
it's
actual live
fascinating to wait for this data to arrive,
Yeah, everything that I say I've got citations for, but it's trying to get the specific quotes because everyone knows how fucking articles. Ryan, you there, dude? What's
literally
going on?
nobody knows that, Craig,
Sorry,
except people
you know how
that want
articles where
wishful
like,
thinking.
there's like a million fucking adverts in the articles. You're trying to get the bit you want, and there's adverts all in the
Sure.
way, right? That's what I'm on about.
We'll just keep waiting.
Ryan, can you hear me, dude? Why can't I hear you? No, I can't hear you, Ryan. I don't know why.
It's a good reason not to use Zoom. When the
No,
moderator
I'm
goes down,
calling
it cancels
him,
the.
All right, audio output default. Why is it not going to my? Ryan, can you hear
I'm
me?
shocked it's taking him so long to get back in.
Right, yeah, I can hear. What's going on, dude?
The stream
seems
is
to have ended
down
your
on
side.
MDD. We're all by our lonesomes.
Yeah, have you got it on? Have you got it on auto like cut off because the stream's actually finished, like the show's finished?
I'm sorry. I think you're talking too far from your mic. I didn't actually hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I'm talking to Ryan. Oh, and the stream's just the Zoom's just finished as well. I apologize for getting stressy at the beginning. I'm having issues regulating my emotions at the moment because I'm a bit numb from my mum dying, so I do apologize. Okay. Yeah, the stream's ended on Modern Day Debate. Yeah, it's like it's completely finished as though the show's done. All right, no worries. It's gonna start a new stream. That's the thing. It's not. Yeah. No. It does mean that it's gonna appear as two separate VODs on Modern Day Debate's channel. Yeah. Could people in my chat do me a favor? Pop over to the Modern Day Debate chat and tell them that there's been a new stream created because Ryan broke something. What did you do? What happened? Oh no. Uh. Oh. I could stream it to the Modern Day Debate channel for you and you know take the strain off of your PC and you still host it on Zoom if you want. Yeah, everyone knows what's going on. Yeah. Yeah, I was getting a little bit pissed off that I wasn't managing to get through a full sentence. Yeah. That's the times when I want to interrupt, right? That's when I want to interrupt, is when they've made like 5 or 6 points and I'm still waiting to respond to the first thing they said. All right. Have you sent an email with the new link? Okay. All right. I'll see you back over there in a sec. Wonders of modern tech. Pardon me. Well, that was a good fucking good go, eh?
Running on in now.
There he goes.
Perfect. Sorry about that, guys. I had a crash on my end.
That's what you get for watching, you know what, while we're debating.
Yeah.
You caught me. I'm chronic. All right.
So when we
No,
last
Trump was just annoyed that he was getting destroyed so hard and shut the stream down.
when we last left Craig, he was about to provide us evidence from the media that said that a media place rolled back their claims of him having a transgender lover. So go ahead.
Hold on. Can you reframe that in just 1 second? Max still has to get his camera on, and then I'll let you reframe that, and we'll
One
get
second,
going.
let me double check because I didn't change anything.
All right. We're just getting our cameras back up and running, everybody, and we're going to be back with you. I do have, hopefully, the majority of your questions here. A whole lot of them. I had some warning signs that things were not working out so well. Hopefully, the audio delay is fixed as well on your end, and it's going to be an even better stream going forward. So thank you, everybody. We're just trying to get Max's camera up and running. How's it going, Max?
There we go.
Okay, I see something there, Max. I see.
Why?
Where are you? There you are. All right,
There.
we're back up and running. We're going to go
That
back
was
to the
weird.
mainstream. And I still have to, I got to reverse you two. There we go. I'm going to let you reframe where we were, Robert, as you were. And we're going to carry on. Thank you so much, guys, for your, guys are chill. Really appreciate it. Things happen.
Craig had made the claim that media outlets had rolled back their previous claims of having a left-wing lover.
Right, okay. I'm gonna
A trans lover. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna correct myself. The rollback was actually to do with the messages written on regarding the trans stuff, not the specific one had rolled back. The suspect Tyler Robson, according to Utah state official media, Robson lived with a roommate who is described as transgender with whom he had a romantic relationship. So I will say that I was probably incorrect about that specific thing being rolled back. What was rolled back was whether there was trans motives and stuff written on the bullets. That was the thing that was rolled back. So I was incorrect. I retract my statement.
Okay. So the preponderance of evidence shows that this was from a left-winger. If we want to stop on each one of these, that's fine.
Although you are making the assumption that because he had a trans partner, he was left-wing. That's not true. I know right-wingers that are trans. So, I mean...
Name me the right winger you know that would have called.
I'm not going to tell you my friend's name. No.
No. Let me put it this way: you're telling me that you know a right winger who is dating a trans person that would have called Charlie Kirk a fascist.
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
I don't care if you don't believe me.
It's obvious that this was the preponderance of evidence overwhelmingly suggests this was a left winger. Next,
well, apart
the
from
attack
the fact
on
that the evidence shows that he came from a right-wing family, from a Trump-loving family,
So did
from
Destiny.
a gun-loving family.
Yes, so
and
did
that
Destiny.
all of
Is
his
he a right winger?
All of his upbringing, everything about him was right wing.
I just want to be clear.
Partner, that is literally the only thing that can be classified as left wing when that's not true.
That's not true at all. The rhetoric that he's talking about him being a fascist, the people that were interviewed that said that he was becoming left-wing, that the trans person was left-wing, right? All of this, and the only evidence you have that that might not be the case is he came from a right-wing family. Are you aware that many children rebel against the politics and the ideology of their parents?
Yeah, but do you have any evidence that he did? Because
yes,
about
I've
him
cited
and people that knew him and reported and said that he was right-wing. There's no.
I just hope that
being left wing. I mean,
show me the reports of someone saying that he's right wing.
Would show me the reports of people saying that knew him that he was left wing.
Okay.
No, you can't because there isn't any.
Go ahead, Grid.
So yeah, there's publicly reported case where a right wing political shooting suspect lived with a transgender partner, and that's, I mean, everything about him and everything. His upbringing, everything shows that he was right wing.
Let's see. Real quick.
Ask all of
Robinson's parents and relatives described him as having been raised in a conservative Christian household, but spiraling into liberal or leftist views after high school. They cited his adoption of progressive stances on issues like the LGBTQ+, environmentalism, and anti-capitalism. One family member told local outlet, i.e. the Arizona Republic, that he had become radicalized online by left-leaning content, including exposure to socialist influencers and anti-conservative rhetoric.
Okay,
that's
so
from the Independent.
Pro-Trump and anti-liberal memes on social media accounts. Investigators recovered writings expressing anti-government, anti-immigration views, plus conspiracy material linked to far-right message boards. No evidence he had any connection to Antifa, BLM, or leftist causes. Prosecutors described his beliefs as anti-government and extremist in nature. So,
what are you reading that from?
From gathered reports, and honestly, this is the AI overview in Google. But it takes, the links I can go into after.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say under this. I'll make 2 points on this. One, the interrogation that you'll do with this obvious attack that came from someone from the left wing on Charlie Kirk, one, shows the audience just how far you're willing to go to downplay left wing violence. And secondly, the fact that you're willing to look at this as charitable as possible to deny the reality. And yet, at the same hand, the evidence you have for right wing violence comes from sources which I've already read to you are laughably inaccurate in how they characterize right-wing violence, and you haven't done any interrogation on that data whatsoever. You've just taken it at blind faith and said, this is what they say, therefore it must be true. Shows that you're not interested in actually dissecting the actual motivations and having a serious conversation on this.
No, that was a bunch of assumptions you made, which I'm just going to dismiss because they're assumptions with nothing else behind them. Your feelings, let's be clear, your feelings are not important to facts.
I do not care to argue with left-wingers on points that want to argue against. Okay, let me say this. I'm so sorry. I do.
You can keep saying I'm a left-winger all you like. That is your way to try and poison the well and get out of a conversation. The very same way you poisoned the well at the beginning by going, I don't trust all of the data.
Hold on. Before we just talk about what each other, we're just having a discussion about what each other thinks. Let's move back further in the timeline and talk more about the attempt on Trump's life and how that was portrayed in the media as well. I think there was 2 attempts as well that were officially reported. But if there's something you want to wrap up there, Robert, go ahead.
It's eminently frustrating for the man who wants to sit up here and complain about interrupting to continue to interrupt over and over again and go off on these points like it matters. I apologize for calling you a left-winger. I should have called you a bad faith interloper instead. Okay, no, you could identify as you want. I don't give a shit that you're going to interrupt. I'm not interested. I've sat here patiently the entire time with you. The entire time I've sat here, and I'll just talk over you if the moderator is not going to intervene and stop you. I've been incredibly patient the entire time with you, and you have not deserved my patience. I don't care if I have to just talk over you. This is unfortunately something that I'll have to do because the moderator is sitting there with his thumb up his ass and refusing to do anything about this. So I'm just going to interrupt over and over again because I don't understand why the moderator would allow this to occur. I've been patient the entire time. I continue to not understand why the moderator is allowing this to occur. It's absolute nonsensical, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this situation. This is something that happens quite frequently when I'm engaged in these debates, and I don't understand what the position I'm supposed to take in this. I'm not going to leave someone filibuster over me
saying
when I've been
over and over,
eminently
isn't it?
patient the
It's
entire
really,
time.
really hard
I
not
do
being able
not
to talk, isn't it?
understand
It's
why
not
the
nice being
moderator would
interrupted
decide
when
to
someone
sit here and
has-
allow
it's
this
so
to
horrible,
occur.
isn't it?
It is
Really nasty,
unbelievably
isn't it?
bad
It's
faith
really,
and
really, really bad faith
unbelievably
use of this. It's
unprofessional
horrible,
for
isn't it?
both
Yeah, I
you
know.
and the moderator to continue to allow this talking over of people. It is ridiculous. And
Yeah,
if the
it's
moderator is
horrible you keep over talking
incapable
me,
of
absolutely,
being
yeah.
able to stop the person who has interrupted the most, who complains about interruptions, from preventing to
have
doing
interrupted far
that,
more
then
than me.
I don't know what the utility of trying to have this conversation is.
Okay,
It's
go ahead then.
nonsensical. You threw a fit like a baby when there were the smallest amount of interruptions against you and then proceed to interrupt
That's true.
every single time. And I don't understand why the moderator is allowing this to occur.
Are you finished
Are
splurging?
you not paying attention as a moderator?
Have you finished crying?
No, I'm not crying.
Yeah,
I'm pointing out
you
the
are
bad
crying.
believe
faith.
you were
Are
the
you
one
crying?
crying.
Says the person as he cries.
I'm not. Do you see tears?
Yes,
Were you crying earlier when you complained about interrupting?
yes. Are you going to keep splurging?
You were. You're admitting
Are
that you were
Are you
crying.
going to keep splurging?
No. If you will
Okay,
be
well then
patient,
shut the
allow
fuck up and get on with it then.
if you'll be patient
And
and allow
when
me
you-
to
when
talk
you're
as
done-
I have for you the entire debate, then
You've
I'll.
interrupted me way more than I've interrupted you.
I've not. Anyone
Yes, you
who's
have.
watching could see that.
Oh man.
Would you like me? Should we get someone to go over it and check the times like last time, where it turned
Thanks,
out?
James. All right, we'll talk to you in a bit. See you later. All right. all right.
Oh,
I
no
was talking to
wonder.
James, guys. What's going on? What are you on
Damn.
about?
No, he
What
just
is the
started
problem?
insulting me, so I just interrupted him. That was.
Oh boy. Yeah, no, me and James were just reviewing the super chats to make sure we didn't lose out on any of our audience. Yeah, honestly. What happened, guys? Did you couldn't behave for 2
Craig
seconds?
can't accept the fact that he's wrong.
Okay. Here's the thing: there are credible reports that the suspect expressed some left-leaning or anti-fascist style ideology. Utah government.
There's
cops
nothing
says
but-
leftist ideology.
There's
is fairly
literally
present,
nothing but
there's
that,
no final
Craig, and you're
ruling,
ignoring
no
it,
confirmed
Greg.
organizational
Greg.
link to left-wing extremism.
Greg.
Yet. So if someone claims he was
Greg.
left-wing for sure, you say, "Hold up, possible yes." But
All right, let
no.
Don have his chance here as well to respond.
I mean,
just
to
making
be
sure everything
to be
was
honest,
in order. You
I'm
guys
on.
aren't making this easy.
I'm actually shocked. I'm sorry, I was talking over the moderator. I apologize. I'm actually shocked.
I'm
To be
shocked as
honest
well.
with
I
you,
am. I'm
that
shocked.
that
All right,
Rob and I have
I'm gonna put
actually
you on mute,
been,
Craig. Just
you know,
be big.
the voices of reason tonight. I actually expected a little bit more, from Craig or Greg,
I was
whatever it is.
bait, I swear.
The interesting thing is that when we say, hey, you're just taking these stats at face value. Can you look at this? No.
I didn't say that. Not once did I.
Yes,
say
you
no.
did. You absolutely did. You lying piece of crap.
No, I didn't say I
You
wouldn't look at
absolutely
it. I
said
said I'm not here to
that it was
talk specifically
insane
looking
for
at the
Rob
data.
to question.
Don't call me a liar
Now you're
because I
talking
didn't
over
say
me,
that.
and I
because
won't
you call me
allow
a liar,
it. You are
will-
the dumbest
I will
person on the
talk over you
panel,
when
and
you
I
call
can
me a
prove it.
liar.
We literally
Absolutely,
can.
I will talk over you when you call me a liar.
You guys have lost.
Oh my
You
God.
guys lost the plot. I'm so sorry. We're gonna hand over the floor to Robert and Max, and then I think we should go into the super chats. They're flying on in.
Yeah.
And you guys aren't really helping right now, so just chill out for 2 seconds, please.
I think it's quite telling how they're hyper focused, and I wish I could have done. We could have gone first because my predictions would have been pretty on point here. All I'm seeing is just appeals to emotion, trying to hand wave, dismiss whatever we don't like, and we're very familiar with how that happens, especially with science deniers like flat earthers. Now, it is very telling to me that we do not want to talk about the violence that is being exerted right now in democracy. And just because the right is in power today with Trump in the presidency, we are supposed to disregard all the blatant inconstitutionalities, all the blatant issues that keep popping up day after day with week after week with the presidency.
We still haven't got
Why-
the name of the U.S. citizen that was black bagged. We haven't got that name. You're still looking for that. You said in your opening statement that
I'm not looking for. I never said I would
You said
present
that you're-
any. I think that you asking me for a name is a very lame deflection, and I don't even really want to go down that route.
so. We're just to accept your claim with no evidence. There was an American citizens are being put in black bags and kidnapped with no evidence. We accept that claim.
Do you doubt? Is
Yes,
it
I doubt it.
incorrect? Is it incorrect?
Yes.
It is absolutely incorrect.
Now,
Okay.
follow-up
Not one.
question.
There hasn't been one case of an American citizen being black bagged by ICE. Are you saying that?
Is
prove
gerrymandering
it.
violence?
Yeah, prove it.
Yes.
Gerrymandering's violence.
Yes.
Okay.
Should I
That's all
explain
I
to
need
you
to-
why?
that's all I need to-
Should I
yeah.
explain to you why?
Yeah. Prove that there's
Because
a
the
black bag.
carving of
No,
the election, the carving of the
stop
election
talking.
districts to
Stop
try
talking.
and gain an advantage, trying to gain
Prove
the
it.
system by
Prove
carving.
it. Prove it. Prove that one person's been black bag. Give us the name. Give us the photos. Give us the video.
I'm sorry,
Something
but,
other than you saying it happened, sir.
I'm sorry that you're having a hard time keeping up.
I'm
with-
sorry
I was
that you
talking
have
about
no
something
proof
else,
and you just rely on running your mouth. Please post a video, give me a picture, throw out a link, whatever. I want the proof. You said you had the proof.
I know I didn't say that. You
You
filthy
said
liar.
you asked us, and we said no, that's not happened, and you said yes, it is, and so now I'm asking for the proof of it, sir.
Yeah, sure. So the way
Exactly,
that-
you have no proof. You and Greg have no proof of
Sorry, what's my
anything
name?
except for some made up.
I'm pretty sure that his
by
name
the
is
FBI.
actually. I'm pretty sure that his name is actually Craig. So maybe you didn't read, but okay. So what I was telling you is that do
you're
I
fucking
consider
crazy.
gerrymandering? And this is going back to the topic that we were discussing before the cut. That there's very different levels of political violence. Do I think that carving out districts to try and squeeze the most out of what I mean, it's a whole other debate, but what is kind of a little bit of a broken electoral system that you have in the US, do I think it's violence? Sure. Is it equivalent to try and topple the government? Of course not. But it is still political violence. And you guys really want to avoid.
I love the rambling nonsense, but I just want to really know about the black bag guy that you were talking about.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, because you made that shit up.
The left last year alone. The left in the United States last year in the United States alone killed 10 million right-wing babies.
Oh, I love this.
So the AP identified multiple
okay,
examples of
that's
ICE.
Not abortion.
Are you doing?
Abortion. They killed 10 million 3-year-olds.
3-year-olds.
Yes.
Oh, this is gonna be good. Okay, elaborate.
I'm telling you what they did. They literally took firearms, put them to the temple of 10-year-olds, and executed them. So you acknowledge that the left wing is worse.
10-year-olds? You just said 3-year-olds.
10 million 3-year-olds. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So you'll acknowledge the left is worse, correct?
Do you? What are we doing here right now? What incident are we even talking about?
I don't have to provide proof to you. It just happened.
Oh, okay.
Now, do you see how nonsensical this is? If I just make a claim,
they're right on the same level. Yes,
both are making an outlandish claim and refusing to provide evidence to back it up.
Yeah.
Okay,
the fact that
I've got
ICE
evidence of it.
on a wide net casting of trying to grab whoever the fuck they can and just grabbing an American citizen, that is completely equivalent of you saying that
when it didn't happen.
A million
Yes,
3-year-olds were executed. Yes, it does.
And Craig had a tag on here as well, guys. So let's say Craig
100%
back on here as well.
Yes, Craig had his
wanted
hand
to say-
up. Thank you, Craig.
Yeah, that's the honorable way. So go ahead, add on to that if you can.
The AP identified multiple examples of ICE using the black and yellow full body restraint device called the RAP in deportations. Its use was described by the AP to the AP by 5 people who said they were restrained in the device, sometimes for hours on ICE deportation flights dating between 2020 and 2023. Witnesses and family members in 4 countries told the AP about its use on at least 7 other people this year. The AP found ICE had used the device despite internal concerns voiced in 2023, report by the Civil Rights Division of its parent agency, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, in part due to the reports of deaths involving use of the RAP by local law enforcement. So yes, there has been at least 5 known reports of ICE black bagging people.
Your claim was that
that's not
ICE
the
had
claim.
black bagged American citizens.
Yeah.
Literally off the street. That the implication was expressly that they were grabbed off the street, black bagged, like you would hear about in Colombia. Come on, we're not idiots, Greg.
My
We're
name
not,
is
we
not
we
Greg.
understood what he
Den?
we understood what he meant. How
we're
you're
not
talking
idiots
about
and
you're
gets
talking
the
about
name wrong.
people in
Den, you must be
custody.
an idiot because you can't say my fucking name. Den.
Oh, I'm sorry. Does it annoy you when I don't say things properly? I apologize.
Well,
It
it's
annoys
disrespectful
it
when you don't
annoys
say
me when
somebody's name
people
properly,
lie
Den.
in a
Hold
debate.
on, that's not
It
the point of the
annoys
debate.
me. I'm sorry. So let's
you are lying right now.
All right,
you are lying, sir. You
could
lie.
I share my screen?
All right. Let's do a screen share. Let's take a break and let you do that, and maybe we
Okay.
can repace a little
I
bit.
would-
Not okay. Max's turn here.
There has been
This
four
this
reports
lady,
of-
let me just
No,
try to
you're gonna-
preemptively
you just gotta chill
address
out
your
on mute for a
argument.
second.
This
Hold on.
lady
Apologies.
Chill.
she's
2
fake
seconds.
and gay, right?
I don't see a black bag over her head. Go ahead.
Let's see what happens.
Are
play
you
the clip,
are-
please.
is that what you're going with? I don't see a black
You
bag
literally
over
said
her head
that.
right now. Is that?
That's
so
what
I mean,
you
I
said,
don't know.
sir.
I don't know what we're
detained
doing
a
here.
71-year-old
Can we play the clip?
citizen.
Play the clip.
Is that correct?
Play the clip.
Can't hear it.
Oh, you can't hear. Okay, hold on.
Juan Antonio Pinado.
Yeah, you'll have to
was-
reshare with sound.
Yeah,
if you
yeah, 1
want to
second.
hear.
Fucking.
Yeah,
On
and then we can
September the
make some
3rd,
commentary on this.
2024.
This is getting.
I
Well,
would
I
like
can't
to.
wait
I've
to
had
make
about
commentary.
40 minutes. I've tried to get through a list of left-wing violence, including the assassination attempts on Donald Trump. At each effort, I've been interrupted at every single attempt and painstakingly gone through. I'd like to eventually get to that, but I'm more than happy to continue to humor this. I just
You'd
want to
like
let
to
people know there are a
cherry-pick.
litany of examples that I'm unallowed to get to here, but that's fine.
Hey, it's
Well,
fine. If
right,
you want to
like-
cherry
like
pick,
moving
I
if we guys
am-
need
let
to.
you cherry pick all day long.
Like I am
hold
unallowed
on,
to go
Craig.
through the systematic violence that is happening right now. I mean, we all have things.
Okay. Keep going.
Support through the immigrant community is actually not of an immigrant, but a 71-year-old U.S. citizen named Barbara Stone.
I was surprised. It felt like an out-of-body experience.
Stone was handcuffed and held by federal agents for 8 hours on
All right, so holding a U.S.
Where's
citizen
the
for
black bag,
8
sir?
hours without a warrant, without a cause, without parole cause.
You know that that literally anybody can have that happen to them in the United States.
The
Maybe
video
you're
of
not
that,
familiar with our laws.
if I may, the video is she wasn't detained because she was an illegal or suspected of being an illegal. She was detained for pushing an ICE officer.
All right.
That's why she
Craig.
was detained. And the
Craig,
video
you
You
actually,
can do
the-
that legally in the United
No.
States.
Hold on. Craig's got his hand
so-
up, so let's let Craig in here
I'm
as well
sorry.
to give his thoughts. Max, you had your screen share, so go ahead, Craig.
So Juan Antonio Pineda, who was in the US legally, was on the morning of September the 3rd, 2024, early on the Wednesday, taken off of the streets, put into a black bag, driven for 4 hours to the border where the ICE officers broke his nose, gave him a black eye, drove him around for 4 hours. The AP was
Would that not have been in the Biden White House?
in September 2024?
so left-wing violence. Got it.
By ICE. This was
Yes.
ICE.
Ran by the executive that was controlled, the DHS, ICE is under DHS, that was controlled by the Democrats.
You said there's no. You just said there was no evidence of ICE black bagging people.
That's correct. That's not black bagging. And what that was, of
was
course,
put
any
into a
law
black
enforcement
bag.
at
It says
some
it
point, of course, any law enforcement over some point will detain someone that didn't commit a crime. What you were implying that there was serious amounts of current right-wing under Donald Trump ICE just grabbing people off the street that were American citizens and putting them in black bags. That's
Well,
not occurring.
I
The one
didn't say
example that
that.
you've given, real quick, the example that you've given is under Joe Biden. That's the example you've given. Now, I would like to
It's just
address
an ICE.
sort of what I've patiently waited to talk about. We had the Charlie Kirk assassination. We had attacks on, by the way, that was celebrated by tens of thousands of lefties. We had the attack on ICE that killed 2 detainees. We had the July attack on ICE that injured an LEO officer in the neck. We had the shooting into an ABC affiliate. We had the Chaz Chop Zone. We have all of the ICE riots that we see. We have the BLM riots. We have Michael Reinhold killing a Patriot Prayer member and self-described Antifa member. We had Steve Scalise shot. We had the Tesla attacks that were going on. We had Luigi Mangione, who killed a United Healthcare CEO that was celebrated by almost 50% of people that self-identify as Democrat. Josh Shapiro, the Democratic governor of Pennsylvania, home firebombed by a radical pro-Palestinian activist. Rand Paul was attacked at one point by his neighbor that was celebrated not only by random people on the left, but actually by Democratic journalists. I believe it was Nicole Wallace that said it was her favorite story of the year when Rand Paul got his ribs broken. The evidence is overwhelming. And that's not to mention the most serious case, if you don't count Charlie Kirk, 2 assassination attempts against Donald Trump.
Yeah, pretty sure he didn't have. No one tried to shoot him in the air because cartilage doesn't repair like that.
So you think that your argument is that there wasn't someone that shot at Trump on the stage?
I genuinely don't think that happened. His ear healed magically.
So the firefighter Corey Competore that died is fake?
Well, no, I'm saying I just don't think that Trump was shot in the air personally because cartilage doesn't repair like that.
But
how about the trans person that attempted to assassinate Brett Kavanaugh?
Yeah, I just don't think that Trump's ear got shot because ear doesn't repair like that.
Your conspiracy theory is irrelevant to the point that it's
it's a fact that cartilage doesn't repair like that.
Even if that was true, which I'm not even entertaining this, it's still an example of left-wing violence, and even if you're correct.
All I'm saying is that I don't think Trump was shot on stage.
The evidence is overwhelming. His
ear repairing itself magically.
I don't give a shit to entertain your conspiracy theory about Donald Trump's ear, even if I accept that what you're saying is true. Even if I accept what you're saying is true, which I don't, there was clearly an assassin that shot at Donald Trump and killed a Trump supporter. Your conspiracy theory about, but I don't think it actually hit his ear, they faked it in the moment, is stupid.
No, I just don't think that anyone shot at Trump there because
they didn't shoot at Trump.
Hold on.
No. Wait.
What?
Your claim was they did. Wait. I'm asking Craig a question. Your claim was that no one shot at Trump. That's your claim.
Yeah, because his ear magically repaired itself, and I don't know why they would have to fake that.
So then, what was the shooter shooting at? The firefighter?
I just don't think anyone was shooting at Trump.
I mean, does everyone see the nonsense that we're arguing with? This is a joke.
Can you explain to me any other time in history where cartilage in the ear has magically repaired itself?
I don't think that it magically repaired itself, as you're saying. For us to believe what you're saying, listen. For us to believe what you're suggesting, one, we would have to believe that there was a fake assassination attempt, that there is a fake death of a firefighter named Corey Competore, that 2 other people, I believe it was 2 other, were injured in a fake attack, that all of these people were involved in this conspiracy. Yeah, and your argument is there was never a shot that was taken.
All I'm saying is I don't think anyone shot at Trump. Stop putting words in my mouth.
You do believe the conspiracy that somehow all these people that are aggregating these statistical results are lying, because you did make that argument.
I'm saying
you clearly don't have a problem with conspiracies when they're on your side.
I'm saying that first off, there's different levels of conspiracy. Believing that this dude faked it.
Yeah, of course.
Please, let me finish. Believing that there wasn't a person that fired at Trump when someone died from it is nonsensical and the height of stupidity. Secondly, although I do think that
from believing
that the statistics
are wrong.
Are you interested in hearing my position, which I already articulated in the opening statement, and you were incapable apparently of understanding? Let me refresh your memory of what I said.
Hold on, Max. Max, hold on, Max.
And I wanted to answer my question.
Well, let's let him reiterate his question, which he has been asking for, and then we'll also let you have a chance to ask your question. This has been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of energy, and I do like a little bit of chaos, but we do need to wheel it in. So, Robert, I do want to let you reiterate your point, and then Max, you can have a chance to reframe your question as well.
There's 3 reasons that we wouldn't trust this data. First, we could see specific evidence that we all agree were left-wing violence that aren't qualified in the evidence, which shows that these studies are nonsensical. The reason for that is twofold. One, because the first line of people reporting this are law enforcement officers that are inaccurate in their reporting for 2 reasons. One, because they have specific bias that they don't want to go after left-wingers as hard as they're instructed to go after right-wingers, as is evidenced by things that we could blatantly see in scenarios you've already talked about, such as Kenosha, where law enforcement intentionally stood down and allowed allowed left-wingers to riot. Now, if they're not arresting people, that means that they'll never show up in the statistics as being compiled. And that's what occurred. We could see that they were instructed to go after right-wingers as heavy as possible, to the point where they're actually creating fake plots like the kidnapping plot of Gretchen Whitmer. So yes, if they intentionally don't arrest people and stand down, then it won't show up. Secondly, the people that are compiling the data using law enforcement sources are also biased in how they qualify. I went through the specific data and showed how they were citing actual attacks, such as an attack on a church, a Catholic church, of people saying KKK, Satan lives here, as a right-wing attack. How they were taking black people attacking a Hispanic man as a right-wing attack. The fact that you're incapable of understanding my argument and saying, oh, well, if you say you don't believe that, despite the fact that we see the evidence that shows that there was mass amounts of left-wing violence, that's the same as saying that no one shot at Trump when someone died behind him. Shows that you're nonsensical and not a serious person we're talking to.
Right. So there's a conspiracy. Apparently, all police officers they don't report right-wing
Is that what I
violence.
said? Is that what I said?
Yeah, that's exactly what you said.
Okay,
and then there's also another conspiracy in the P. I'm sorry, I just let you speak and
Hold on a second,
interrupted,
Robert.
didn't I?
All right, let's not meta debate.
Okay, got it.
Robert's gonna just chill for a second, and we're gonna let you respond.
So conspiracy: all police officers don't they don't report left-wing violence for some reason, because Rob says so, because his conspiracy requires it to. And then there's the other people, the institutes. They also have biases, because he found, or he thinks that he found, some examples, and now he's extrapolating from 3 particular examples to doubt the whole data of the study. That is just sloppy methodology.
I never said that all police officers don't report. You're incapable of listening, or you're bad faith and incapable of reciting what I just said. I've been very clear. You're the person on the position of, we have to ignore the radical violence we see to this day, when we see riot after riot, when we see attack after attack on right-winger, and you're saying we have to ignore it because your daddy FBI told you that that must be the case. I just want to be clear. Anything that Trump's FBI says, you 100% believe, correct?
No.
Oh, so you believe in conspiracy theories? Why wouldn't you just trust the FBI?
No, what I
conspiracy
don't
theory is.
straight up believe everything. I always do like a little bit double checking and so on.
Apparently
right?
not.
So
That
I
doesn't seem to be the case
you
at all.
You mind your own business.
I am
so
minding my business. This is my business. This is, matter of fact, this is exactly my business, sir.
I'm not talking to you.
I think he was making a broad point
If you're
of,
going
like,
to just
about people.
interject to cheerlead, why don't you just stay silent?
Hold on.
Well, actually, I've asked you for proof multiple times. You've never given any proof at all.
Yeah,
You literally, the one thing that your partner
asked
drug
of
up
me,
for
I
you
gave it to
was
you.
literally
So please
not
keep
even
up.
in the administration that you
went
claimed it
by.
was.
Wait, Max, 1 second. Hold on. What was it you were asking for there, Don? And we'll hand it back to you, Max.
Well, every time we've asked for proof, he's deflected. Literally, the only time anyone gave proof was Greg down there gave proof
Craig.
of
My name
something
is
that
Craig.
happened in Biden's administration.
I was speaking before he started interrupting me with all of this saying nothing nonsense.
Well, hold
I was
on.
speaking with
You're the
Rob.
one saying nothing, sir.
Sure.
There was a framing of the
So-
question, so
so-
Don wanted to reframe his question so that you could answer
Rob,
it accurately. I did want
What
Rob to
I'm
step away.
trying to
It's
show
okay.
you is how
He
you're
can't help
bashing Craig
Ryan, he just
because
can't help
he has
himself.
a thought of conspiracy about the Trump assassinations. That's fine. What I'm trying to highlight is that you have the same thing when your thought requires that left political violence goes unreported by police officers
But we
for
gave you
whatever
examples
reason.
of how that happens and why. It's literally
You
documented,
said a
sir.
bunch of stuff. I haven't
No, we
seen
did not
any
just say a
example.
bunch of stuff,
Yes.
sir.
Yeah, you've
Yeah,
not
I
No, we
don't
did
know
not.
if you know how
said a
evidence
bunch
works.
of stuff. You said
I
a bunch
don't
of
know
stuff
if you
that
know how
didn't
evidence
happen,
works.
and your partner had to prove it out for you.
I don't know.
And you
if
still
know how
haven't proven
evidence
anything.
works.
Not one
Yeah,
thing.
sure.
Not one thing, sir.
You got it.
You have not proven anything.
You
You
got
made
it.
claims,
Keep
but none of
stroking
the
that
claims that you
security
made are true.
blanket. Stroke it. It's okay. It's gonna be
I mean,
fine.
you can keep you can keep doing what you're doing, but it's
You're
irrelevant.
saying
and it's
nothing. You're
nonsense.
interrupting me to
You
say
speak
nothing.
Nonsense, sir.
So, Rob, what I'm trying to highlight here is that what
not
you're
highlighting
criticizing
anything.
of Craig
Ben, be
is
quiet.
you have the
Greg.
same problem in your argument. Your argument requires conspiracy too. Why should we give any credence to your conspiratorial argument and not Craig's?
I gave you
Because-
very specific parameters
I
early
asked
on.
Rob.
Okay. Rob's going to
Yeah,
tell you
Den,
something.
could you just be quiet? We're not talking to you.
Can I ask you a question in response very quickly?
No, I would like a response to my question.
The fact that you're incapable of answering, I will say this: the hypothetical question I would ask, which the answer would be no, just because one conspiracy is believed by someone doesn't mean that every conspiracy is equal to that. That would be nonsensical. For example, so when I'm saying the specific conspiracy that Craig believes that there was a fake firefighter that was killed because Trump's ear cartilage
excuse
couldn't
me,
kill
I
that
did
well,
not say
please,
that.
please stop interrupting, please. You
But I
said
didn't say that,
specifically,
though.
you said
All right, 1 second,
specifically
okay.
that no one shot at Donald Trump.
Yeah, Donald Trump, not another person.
So they shot specifically at the firefighter.
Maybe no one shot at Donald Trump.
Okay, I think that that's an outlandish conspiracy theory. I'm
Okay,
giving you
well,
specific
Brian, can I share
reasons.
screen
I'm
quickly,
giving
please?
you specific reasons cited up by data that I've pointed to as to why we should not believe the data set that's being provided.
All right,
And
well,
those
Craig's
reasons
asked to
include a
share screen.
conspiracy.
All right,
And
well,
those
Define
reasons-
conspiracy.
Yeah,
let's
so
just look at
Those
what Craig
you
is.
just
Hold
said,
on, hold on.
or
Max.
did you
Craig,
not say that
Hold
left-leaning?
on, Max, please. Craig is sharing his screen. You're interrupting your partner right now, who has
very simple.
something he's trying to share.
Just very simple. I mean, I never said anything about a fake firefighter or something, so don't put words in my mouth, you disgusting human being. But the more important thing is, this is a guy who had his ear bitten, and this is apparently a guy who had his ear shot. I mean, call it a conspiracy theory if you like, but I mean, bitten, many years later, most ear still missing, shot about a year ago, ear completely fine. Either this dude's Wolverine or no one shot him in the ear. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not going to entertain this stupidity and the idea. I think that if there was any justice,
Yeah,
by the
no
way,
response, got it.
by the way, let me ask you a question. Do you think that Alex Jones deserved the fine he got for his claims at Sandy Hook?
Absolutely. That was a disgusting, horrible thing to
I
say.
hope that you suffer the same fate from Corey Competor's family.
No, I did nothing about Corey Competor's family. I am talking about Donald Trump. Don't put words in my mouth, you disgusting human being. I'm talking specifically about Donald Trump.
I'm not going to entertain your conspiracy theories that there wasn't someone that shot at Donald Trump. That instead the
just
theory
showed you
is
no
that
one
he
shot at
faked
Donald
his. The idea that wouldn't even if that was true, it's not. Like there's clear evidence that the wound that hit Trump's ear wouldn't have been as deep as the wound of someone biting off Evander Holyfield's ear, right? And so that even a
What
small
evidence?
nick could cause an incredible amount of blood, so the healing would be different. That the level of care and the immediacy of it of Trump could mean that the heel healed back better than someone like Evander Holyfield, right? All of those things could be true, but even if we accepted that Trump's ear wasn't hit by a bullet, doesn't mean that no one shot at Trump, which is a claim that you made. You're making a claim that this was a fake assassination attempt. And this belies the arguments that you're trying to make, where you're trying to be taken seriously when you're citing a study that you have no idea anything about. You're a partner there that wants to say things like language and gerrymandering or violence, that wants to claim that because I'm outlining specific reasons, like seeing the overwhelming amounts of violence that we saw with Black Lives Matter that weren't registered in these studies that you're citing, that one come from law enforcement sources,
Repeat
and
it
second,
one more
please, let me
time.
finish,
It will
that
be
first
true.
come through a filter of law enforcement, that then second go through a filter of these institutions that are doing these studies that are biased. The evidence is
conspiracy,
overwhelming.
yes.
That the evidence is overwhelming that those violent actions happen. None of you can deny them. You can't.
No, we can absolutely deny that your reason
You
for
don't even
denying
understand
data
how
has...
the data is compiled. sir.
Excuse me, sir.
No.
Could I finish a sentence uninterrupted?
No.
Would it be
It's
possible?
worthless.
Yeah, Den's got
Would it
impulse
be
control
possible?
issues.
I'm sorry. If
Go
it's
ahead,
worthless,
Max.
then just let me finish my sentence and talk right after. I don't know. It's a matter of education. Maybe because I was raised outside of the U.S. that I know that, and you don't. So, your position, Rob, has two conspiracies baked in on it, and you want me to believe your position over Craig's. Is that
Yes, I've
correct?
outlined specific. Did you see when CNN said this is mostly peaceful? Did you believe them when there was fire raging behind them?
In what instance?
CNN did a report that said these protests here are mostly peaceful. As fire raged behind.
Protests?
Are you aware that there was a protest during Black Lives Matter, that there was fires behind the reporter, and he said that it was mostly peaceful? Are you aware of that?
I have no idea.
Why am I talking to you? Could you be more
It's a
worthless?
meme that's been around for like 5 years.
You guys know nothing. It's either your bad faith or you're just so ignorant on the
that's right, just
topic
keep
that it's
calling us
worthless
bad
to
faith
talk
because
to.
you don't understand what's going on. So, reporter that was invited to look at Trump's ear said an ear had never appeared to have gone through less, except there on the tiniest patch of his tiny sculpture of skin, a minor distortion that resembled not a crucifixion wound, but a distant aftermath of a sun.
You still on about the ear?
Yeah.
Holy fuck! Holy shit!
Yeah.
We got
because
else
that's
or
funny.
what here, folks? Here we go. What?
just
Nobody
funny.
said
He can't face the fact that he's cherry picking the data and just.
I'm not cherry picking
can't do
anything.
it.
I'm looking at the facts.
dude, yeah, you.
We
The
wouldn't even get the fucking
projection.
closing arguments. Why am I debating these two low-tier lolcows?
That's
What
right.
the
Cool, that's
fuck's
low
the
tier.
point?
Look,
Is
are you
this
going to
the
put us
best we
Reddit
could
tier?
do?
It is low
Look
tier.
at you Trump
My
fucking
goodness.
cult members. It's incredible.
Well, you're
This
the
is
one that
surreal.
pulled up a Biden happening to illustrate your bias against Trump. That's
No,
a dummy.
excuse
Come on,
me,
man.
liars.
Get
I
out
was
of here. What is
specifically
wrong
mentioning
with
ICE.
you? What
I was
is wrong
specifically
with you,
mentioning
Craig?
ICE,
Greg?
and not
Whatever.
once.
I don't know.
I specifically mentioned ICE. Is lying just something you do all the time?
Moderator, I'll ask you this. I don't care. We've been gone for 2.5 hours. This was supposed to be a 1-hour debate. I'm more than happy to keep going. What's the fucking point? How long am I supposed to
Can you
sit here and
cry some more?
entertain
I'm
these
enjoying it.
fucking
Hold
doofuses?
on. I'm listening, Robert.
My
Please
goodness.
keep crying. I'm loving it. Cry more.
Hold on. You cried to me earlier, Craig, about leaving. It's totally fine if Robert wants to say that he's getting to the point that he wants to get into the super chats and get things moving.
I just don't see the utility. I don't know where
Dude,
we
calm
can go
down, you got
further
a heart
from here.
attack.
That now we're on. Trump had a
You
fake
need to
ear,
breathe.
and like, what the fuck are we talking about? I don't know where we're at, so I'm
Craig,
asking the
please.
moderator. Are we going to go
Aneurysm's not
7 hours, 8 hours? Just let me know so I have some idea to mentally prepare for the stupidity that I'm hearing at a
do know
rampant
that
pace
aneurysms aren't
accelerate.
good for your health, right?
I don't mind. I don't mind a little. Like I say, some of the
Someone is triggered.
externities is fine. But guys, honestly, yeah, we can go into super chats if you want to move things along and
I
try
have
to.
one more question. Do you consider stuff like
Okay,
nepo? I have one more question. I'm sorry.
That's
Do
all
you
right.
consider stuff like nepotism, putting people in charge that are completely unqualified, and that or that kind of thing? Is that political violence?
We can't take you seriously.
That
dude.
was a super hard.
literally
no,
can't.
was a
nepotism
super
is
hard
not
question,
political
I get it.
violence.
Nepotism
We
you
is
literally
maybe-
can't take you seriously.
Let
no
me ask you
political
this.
violence.
I'll
Okay.
answer.
No, that's
nepotism.
Hold on,
I
hold on, hold on,
know.
hold on.
With
Robert
that
wants.
answer,
Hold
I
on.
know that.
Hold on. I'm just gonna let Robert have the floor. You asked your question, Max. I want him to respond to the question in full, and then let you respond as well. It seems like there's a lot of reaction to what you just said. So, go ahead, Robert, and respond, and then Max, I want you to, just also respond. Let's go have a little nice back and forth. It's fine. Go ahead, Robert.
No, nepotism isn't political violence. Is affirmative action political violence?
No.
Why? Why is nepotism political violence but not affirmative action? Both
Because
are not
the,
hiring the most qualified person.
Breathe.
That's where you're wrong. Affirmative action is not about hiring unqualified people.
So, what, for example, affirmative action would say that we have to lower the test scores for people of a certain race to prioritize them getting in. This would imply that the usual
That's
metrics you
not
would
what it
decide.
says.
Okay, define affirmative action.
Affirmative action like the DEI.
Yes.
It's fomenting hiring people of diverse, but it doesn't. Why would it lower their? If you don't meet the requirements for the job, you don't meet the requirements.
That's
for the
not
job.
true. Affirmative action specifically says that it will prioritize hiring people of certain races. So the way that this plays out, for example, in places like Harvard, which lost a case on this, was that the SAT score necessary to get into higher ed in a place like Ivy League was lower for Black Americans than it was for white or Asian Americans. Is that political violence?
Oh, I understand.
When no, on an institution, when you're talking about hiring, No. Why would why would it be political violence when
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 Joe
it's an
Biden,
institution? No, the reason why I consider nepotism being political violence is that you are someone who is in charge in a position of power, and you designate your son, whatever, right? That is political violence, not affirmative action.
I don't know when gerrymandering's political violence and
Yeah, well,
nepotism's
it is.
political violence.
We never
then
go to finish that. We never go to finish that.
when these things are political violence, then everything's political violence, and the term means nothing.
No, I didn't say that everything was political violence. No, but there are different levels. When you're telling me gerrymandering, which is by definition the carving of electoral districts to try and gain an advantage, you're telling me that trying to gain an advantage on the democratic process, that is not political violence. Is that
No.
what you're telling me?
That is exactly what I'm telling. Also,
That
you
we
said that
we live
you
in
said-
different realities.
You said calling someone far left is political violence.
No, wait.
That's what you
okay,
said.
You're lying. Okay, no. We were
said
talking
that.
about when we're talking about inflammatory rhetoric. I meant like Trump calling Biden and Harris the radical left. That doesn't
They are
do.
the radical left.
They're not.
So if Trump says that they're radical left, that's political violence.
On the most minor of scales, yes.
When they say Trump's a fascist, that's political violence.
Yes.
If I say someone's a communist, is that political violence?
If you say it in a despective manner, but you could say Max is a communist and it would
so
just
it's
be
tone.
a descriptor on me. Yeah.
Do you like Republicans, or do you think that being a Republican is derogatory?
No, in general, no. You.
What do you mean? I
Why
don't
would
understand.
it?
There's
There's no inherent aspect of derogatory aspect of the word Republican. No.
But there is a far left.
When you're calling people radicals who are not radicals, you're doing inflammatory rhetoric. So yeah, it's
Okay.
minor, but yes.
So
I
if
don't
you
know
called me a Republican in an inflammatory sense, would that be political violence?
If I called you just a Republican, no. Am I implying?
I don't. I'm ready for.
I know that
questions.
stuff
I don't
is
know what
very
to say.
complicated.
I don't know what to
Let's
say.
keep it straight. You can say Max is a communist as a descriptor. That
You
would
tried.
not be.
You tried, Rob. You tried.
I know,
You gave it college
cheerleader.
try.
I know that you really want to couple Rob's eggs in your mouth and your hand, but just calm down.
Very
Is that
interesting
political
that's where you
violence?
went to.
Did you just do
No, that
political
sounds like
violence?
political
I'm just
violence.
mocking
That was
him
inflammatory.
for-
That's
for-
violence.
I'm
That
just
was
mocking
violence.
him.
You committed violence
I'm just
against me,
mocking
bro.
him for being a cheerleader.
But
Rob,
isn't that violence?
Rob,
And seriously, did you
listen to
just
me.
enact violence? I'm
Listen
asking you
to
a
me.
serious question. When you
Yes,
insulted him like
sure.
that and implied some sort of sexual impropriety, is that violence?
No, impropriety. Why? No.
You
I don't
accused
see
him
anything
of a
improper
sexual
about that.
orientation and in wanting to commit
No,
sexual
I
acts on me.
accuse him of cupping your balls.
Okay, so you accused him of touching me in a area that normally would be
Very
reserved for
inappropriate way,
sexual
considering
in
I'm
an
a married
inappropriate
man.
way. Is that political violence? That sounds inflammatory.
Yeah, sure.
Are you denying it?
All right. So now, what I'm trying to tell you is that yes, it's not.
You did deny it.
It's not really that big of a deal when we're talking just rhetoric. The problem is that it gets you into a very slippery slope, because if you start calling Biden and Harris the radical left, and then you have nowhere to go up when, let's say, things escalate a little bit, then what are you going to do? If you're calling people that are not radicals, you're calling them radicals, like, where do we go from there?
I'm ready for
Because
audience
now-
questions.
now
I'm
we
done
have-
interacting
now
with
we
these
have
two.
Yeah,
I don't know
all
what to
of
say.
you dummies
in
All
that
right,
same
talking
we're
about-
ready
I was
for
there
audience
a long time
questions.
ago.
That's been asked.
I
Hold on.
accept your
I don't
defeat.
want to. Hold on, Max. I didn't mean to put you on mute, but I did. We have to go over to the audience questions. There's going to be more time to discuss later on. I know you've got your own thing going on that you discussed earlier. So we are going to ask the audience questions. I got the ones from earlier. So thank you to our panel for a very lively discussion. Honestly, we didn't expect anything different. We're talking about political violence. So, I mean, honestly, having the discussion couldn't possibly be worse than the actual violence itself. Come on now. Yeah, so many sensitive people out there, honestly. But I do apologize, for the crash out on the stream there.
No worries.
Yeah, we lost connection for a bit there, and I'm glad that there's a lot of people that retuned in. Make sure that you hit the like button if you haven't already. We have a new stream up and running. There's only 80 likes so far.
Brian,
so go ahead.
Before you go to that, James wanted me to put together he thinks I've got a flyer or a video or something for the event that I'm doing at DebateCon, but I don't. So I'll just talk about it if that's okay.
Sure. If you want to talk about DebateCon, you can do my housekeeping for me. So let's talk about DebateCon.
On the Friday before DebateCon, I'm having live debates, not the religious topics that you guys are doing. We're doing political and social issues. It's my treat. I'm paying for everything. I've got the venue. I've got I'm providing food. Just show up. We got a pretty good list of debaters coming in to do that. I think James is going to try and make an appearance. He said his time, he's going to be very busy. Andrew Wilson will be there. Jake Rattlesnake's going to be there. A bunch of guys are going to be there, and not debating. The debate card is still being fleshed out. Rob will be there debating though. Greg, will you be there? Debate? Do you want to come and debate?
Oh my fucking God, it's Greg!
Yeah, if you say my name correctly, I might consider it.
Dude.
He's trolling you on purpose as well.
No, but he just looks like a fucking senile old man.
Well, I will be in.
He thinks he's trolling. He thinks he's being
reacting
slick.
to it is just sad.
But it's just like it's just him lost in the nursing home.
he knows. He knows. All right. So, Craig, are you going to entertain the invitation here, or shall we move?
You're
into
certainly
Super Chats
welcome.
Before Robert crashes out here as well. I shouldn't say crash out. That's a bad term online. But
you guys do what you gotta do. I'm doing other
out.
shit on my phone. You guys are good. Go for
I was gonna
it.
say, as a father, crash out usually means like you fell asleep on the couch. All right, just
Right.
All right. So, yeah, Craig. I don't know if you want to ask to get there a little earlier, or if you're going to be getting there right on the wire. Maybe you could entertain that. We'll let you guys talk in your own space, though. I do want to ask the super chats.
I'll be in Chicago from the 7th to the 9th, in Cleveland from the 9th till the 14th, and then in Nashville from the 15th to the 17th.
Okay.
So
if it
meets up, dude, I would. Hey, let me just say, any hostileness, whatever. It's just fun. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me be clear to Rob though. Rob, I'm a little bit emotionally unstable right now because my mum died a week ago. What's your fucking excuse?
My excuse is I'm dealing with two fucking goofs that aren't worth my time.
Right. So basically, you're unable to emotionally regulate yourself for no reason.
Hold on, Craig.
Cool,
Craig,
good story.
Craig.
Oh, he's so busy.
Craig, the invitation's there. It's on the 14th. I start at 10 a.m. We're going till midnight. We got debates all day. We're providing food. We're do whatever, it's free. You don't have to pay anything. You just show up. Sorry?
Let me check my flights. Rubiks, what time's my flight in my assistant to know. Rubiks, what time's my flight into Nashville? Is it on the 14th we're getting there?
We're 20 minutes from the airport.
Wait, is the hotel's at the airport, right?
We're 20 minutes from audience questions.
Yeah.
Rob, just chill, dude. You need to take a chill pill.
Hold on.
I feel very
we'll
sorry,
talk about DebateCon. I love talking about DebateCon, but yeah, we do need to move in. If you do want to purchase tickets, we do have them in the live description there.
AM or PM?
Hey, look, and also, wife of Andrew Wilson hanging out, Rachel Wilson.
Raquel!
Rachel!
No.
Oh, me and Rachel, come on, let's do it.
Now, who said somebody's name incorrectly? All right.
Raquel, listen, I am the one that challenged you on Twitter on your derpy feminist views.
Okay.
I would
either
love
way.
to talk to you about that.
I will be
All right.
debating Rachel Wilson at DebateCon on the 17th. Is that the last day? Whatever the last day is.
16th.
Yes.
16th. Right. Then I get into Nashville about 4:30 p.m. on the 14th. You said it's going to
Swing
midnight?
on by.
All right. Now,
We'll feed you.
If it all works out, I'm going to be tired, and it really depends on how my health is with my leg and stuff. But the invitation's appreciated, and I would gladly come and teach Rob how to be a bit calmer.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to the
invitation's
audience
open
questions.
to anyone
We know.
with the debate con ticket. Anybody that has a debate con ticket, the invitation's open to
Oh.
you.
Well, I don't have a ticket. I'm a
This
Yeah.
event